window. Let's wrap up and tell you what Spurs have done and what they haven't done in this transfer window. We understand Spurs are closing in on the signing of Kolo Muani. The player has already signed his Tottenham Hotspur contract. He's currently at Hotspur Way. He's having his shoot done. He's having all the fancy dress stuff they always do at Hotspur Way. The VTs are being done. TJ knows this better than me. He'll explain to you, TJ, how all this works. He's a man of understanding all this, how this all works. But Kolo Muani is going to be a Tottenham Hotspur player. No obligation, no option, but he is going to be signing for Tottenham, like I say, on a season-long loan. He'll be with us until June of 2026. Tottenham have missed out, if you want to believe that term, missed out on Ademola Lookman. He is off to Galatasaray. He's joining them on a season-long loan. He is off the table. He will not be a Tottenham Hotspur player. And in terms of what is happening with some of the other players right now going the other way, well, look, Manor Solomon was on his way to Crystal Palace. He was going to be up to Selhurst Park to agree to join them. They fended off interest from Porto, respectively. There was late interest from Leeds United, who revived their offer in the earlier part of the window. Solomon was on his way to Crystal Palace. However, at the 11th hour now, Benfica have come in and have got a plane at the ready for Manor Solomon to take him to Lisbon to get a deal done. And right now, the player is assessing that option. So a deal sheet probably will have to go in for Manor Solomon. That is where we are with him. We understand Brian Hill is in the final stages of completing his move from, respectively, Tottenham to Girona. It's going to be a fee of 8.3 million GBP. It amounts to 10 million euros. There was a feeling in the earlier part of the week, Tottenham were going to have to rip up the contract of Brian Hill to get him to move on. It hasn't happened. Spurs have got a fee. Brian Hill, he's leaving the football club. Second longest serving player currently. He's off. He's on the move. Also potentially on the move, not today, but later this week, maybe next week, is Yves Bissouma. We understand Yves Bissouma, Tottenham want to see if they can move Yves Bissouma on. There's been interest from Turkey. We know that Galatasaray agreed to move with him late last week. However, due to his physical condition, that fell through. So right now he's in limbo. But again, the Saudi window, the Turkish window, that is still open for another week. So that is where we're at. Like I say, guys, if you're with us for the first time, you can find us on iTunes. We're on Spotify. We're across all major audio platforms. Guys, if you can keep hitting like and subscribe to the show, that would be greatly appreciated. I can tell you now, the summer transfer window is finished. The summer transfer window is closed. Jason McGovern gets back football. The end of the transfer window. Jason, let's bring you in. It's lovely to have you back alongside us here. We know how much you detest it. It's over. Are you happy?
Well, I'm more worried about you. I think you need an ECG. You've been like gabbling away all day at an extraordinary rate, mate. I mean, calm yourself down. Go on holiday for a couple of weeks. Get out to the Italian lakes or somewhere. Calm down, boy. Jesus Christ. You're worse than Jim White on the old Jim White that used to be on.
We've got to build the suspense. But all joking aside, Jace, feeling it's now over. Happy?
Yeah, I'm probably totally opposite to most today. I'm absolutely thrilled that we didn't sign Ademola Lookman. Whether people like it or not, we've got 6 options to play on the left. Because Muani can play off the left, Simons can play off the left. Johnson, who everybody hates but scores 18 goals, can score off the left. Tell can play off the left. Odebear can play off the left. But we've only actually got 3 fullbacks. So do we really need a 7th left winger, or do we need a 4th fullback? You know, like I said, you've got to keep balancing the squad. But Destiny Your Dog is one of our 3 fullbacks, and he's one that's constantly injured as well. So we're faced with possibly Spence and Porro for 60 games, but we want to sign Lookman at 55 million to be a 7th left winger who can't play for the entire month of December. Where's the sense in that? That's not me being derisive about Lookman, who I think's an excellent player. Yeah. But Jesus Christ, I mean, keep some balance in it. And, you know, I'm told all summer Thomas Frank is brilliant at developing young players. Well, it can work with Odebear and Tell for 6 months. And you know what? If it's a disaster in 6 months, we can go back for Lookman in January when the African nations had finished. Couldn't we have done? So, it's a blue flag for me that, it's a blue flag for me, a red flag rather, that Lookman's been available all summer, and with the exception of Inter, there was no takers. He's gone to Galatasaray. He's not gone to PSG or Real Madrid.
No.
Or you know, and Bayern Munich were apparently interested today for about 15 minutes, which hardly suggests they were interested, does it? So, you know, and at 55 million was part of the problem with Lookman, which we don't know. Was it, we think, 55 million for somebody that scored 20, may score 20 in England, over Johnson that has scored 18 and has just won a European final. She's spending 55 million for 2 extra goals. I can't work that one out either.
I definitely think there's more to the story with
did Lookman.
You know, I don't know if
Lookman want a massive wage.
Yeah, I mean, I do think.
Did Lookman want a massive wage? Does his agent want a massive signing on fee? Because none of the big clubs in Europe are in for him. And not being funny, a week ago, most Tottenham fans weren't in for him. It seems to me like today, there's one, we've got to get one, we've got to get one, we've got to get one. But we totally ignore we've only got 3 fullbacks. So are you in for a right back or a left back today?
Are you? I mean, I know you are more frustrated about that. Is that a worry for you? Do you think we've left ourselves short in that area, Jace?
We've left ourselves more short in the fullback area than we have with 6 left wingers.
But are you worried about how short we've left ourselves in that area?
Definitely. The fullback area was the glaring one. I mean, obviously, with Solanke's injury today, that's brought forward Muani. But if Solanke's back in 6 weeks, Muani can go left wing. Simons can play off the left. You know, there's plenty of options there to come off that side. But, you know, if we suffer an injury or Destiny's out, you know, Destiny's already missed every game so far. If Spence gets injured on international duty or Porro does, that's it.
Yep.
That's it with our fullbacks. But we got 6 left wingers.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I mean by balancing this. It's like if you had all the other areas sorted and we were short in that, I'd say, yeah, absolutely go and get Lookman. But got to keep some balance in the squad. And we're now going to what? We're going to leave out Odobert for Xabi Simons in Europe.
Yep.
Who are we leaving out for Kolo Muani? Archie Gray? Bissouma? Probably Bissouma.
Yep.
But, you know, you're down to thinking, where's Odobert going to get a game? So sell Odobert. We've just spent 40 million on Tell, but we're already wanting him out of the club. You know, it's madness, isn't it? That we signed Matisse Tell because we couldn't get Kolo Muani. Now we've signed Kolo Muani and we've just spent 40 million on Matisse Tell anyway. So, you know, get rid of Tell, get rid of Odobert, and then go back for Lookman.
But what does that tell you? Is that a worrying aspect, Jace?
Of course it does. And that tells you that we buy players for the sake of it sometimes in pure panic without thinking about it. It's like, it's the last day. We've got to get one in. You're on here all day, Rick. Got to get one in. Why? It's like, calm down for a minute. Calm down and think about it for a minute. It's like 55 million to replace the bloke we've just spent 41 million on 3 weeks ago. Absolutely bonkers idea.
Okay, we're going to come back to Jason in a second to get his view on where we are in the window. Jason's more frustrated we've not put a left back or a right back in than the forward, but I do get it. We have got. Like I said, we are. I said earlier, we're over. I mean, TJ said it really right. We're overstocked in that area. But the problem is, are we overstocked with actual quality? I think that is the concern. You know, from a quality perspective, I think that's questionable. I don't know. I mean, TJ's bring you back in. It's over now. We're left with what we've got. Kolo Muani's been added to this rooster of players. We'll let you know once he's in the Tottenham shirt, once he's wearing it. But it's part of you glad to see that the emphasis now goes back onto what happens on the pitch rather than off it. Because I do think, I've said this before, I know Jason's had a go at me for being Jim White for the last 7.5 hours. I mean, I quite liked it, to be honest with you. Jason might have done, I've enjoyed it. But what I would say is that I think when the window is open as fans, when you're watching games, you just do get in that moment where you think, oh, buy someone to affect it. Yeah. But now the window is shut, the focus goes back onto the football teach.
Yes, it does. And I mean, listen, as with everything in life, you know, there's pros and cons, you know. For me, like I said, my focus was I would have liked another left-sided defensive player. That was my focus. So looking at what we have, and I put my hand on my heart and say I forgot about Takai. Completely forgot about him. Hopefully he can get his Verucas sorted out and, you know, rescue the black brick from the shallow end of the pool, get his green badge and get back into the squad. I'm also thinking about what's going to happen with Archie Gray. You know, we had a period last season where Archie Gray was asked to play several different positions, and he earned my respect. You know, not that there's anything special about earning respect from me, but he did because he's a young man and he was asked to play in positions that he wouldn't have chosen. And he went about his business. You know, was he the greatest right back or left back I've ever seen? No, but, you know, he did hold his own. And so I wonder if there is an opportunity for him to play right back again or even left back again. Like, is that, because I don't think he's physically strong enough and he's not technical enough to be a central midfielder in the Premier League. Not right now. You know, maybe that changes. He's such a young kid. You know, he's only a boy, isn't he? What is he, 20? So perhaps, you know, that occurs. Perhaps that happens. But in the meantime, is he given some cup games at right back or left back? Because, you know, they all need to play. And I think that he looked quite well suited to being a left back or a right back. So that's an interesting one to me. And now that the transfer window is closed and we have what we have, now we have to sit down and get the board out and move the pieces around and go, well, what do we do with this boy? Also, you know, with the scenario of, well, in 12 months, you know, do we get Rodgers? You know, in 12 months, is Bergvall, Rodgers, or better? You know, Bergvall for me is a proper talent, a proper talent. I think he has everything about him. He's a lump. I know he's only a boy as well, but he's an absolute man-child. I mean, the wheels on the kid, you know, he absolutely looked like, you know, he'd have drumstick legs that would make Bernard Matthews lick his lips. And so I think 12 months under Thomas Frank, given enough game time, I think he could be one of the best central midfielders in the Prem. So let's work with what we have, give Thomas Frank the opportunity to kind of start fiddling around and doing what he does so well, because he is a tactician and he's a very clever man. So I'm okay with what we had, you know, and I think, again, Simons, I think, great signing. Paulinho, great signing. Danzo, I really like him a lot. I'm not going to pretend to know I know a lot about Muani. I don't. But you know, I think we're in pretty good shape. Let's just give the manager some time to cook.
Yeah, I mean, Gareth's bringing on that point. It looks like it's coming. Well, it is over. It is definitely over. We can tell you just on that news about it being over that Manos Solomon to Crystal Palace. And we can also tell you Kolo Muani's deal to Tottenham. The deal sheets have been lodged. So we're going to have to wait and see actually what that means for Brian Hill, because we've had no update on Brian Hill. What's happened there? I mean, could he still be a Tottenham player come the end of this at the moment? Because TJ can't believe it. I mean, we all can't believe it. Brian Hill at the moment, like I said, he was set to go to Girona. There was a fee agreed of around 8.3 million, 10 million euros. That looked all suited and done earlier. We've had absolutely nothing about it. It's gone really, really quiet. But what's been brought to us by Sky Sports is that the deal sheets have been logged for, respectively, Manos Solomon's move to get him out of Tottenham and for Kolo Muani's move to Tottenham. Gal, give me your thoughts. It's all over. Is the normal? Are we going back to normal now? As the madness come to an end?
Well, I think we've got maybe a couple more hours yet before the madness ends. That, you know, there's going to be people's opinions on who we should have signed, where we should have improved, what we should have done, players going out, players coming in. Has a deal sheet been done? Where are these players going to? I think it was quite clear that there's a number of players that needed to leave the club. Hopefully, deal sheets are done for them, and then we can kick on with the people that have come into the club. I agree with both Jason and TJ that, you know, improvements were needed at left centre back, left back. Unfortunately, again, we've been left short. And I think that is adamant to what's been happening over the last several years, that we're consistently left short in areas that we definitely need improvement in. We have made improvements in forward areas that I think was definitely required, but looking at how we were just just destroyed last season at the back, I thought that it was pretty adamantly clear that we needed to make some improvements in there. And ultimately, outside of making our loan move permanent with Danzo, we haven't really done that. So slight concern there for our backline. Hopefully that our manager is more adaptive in terms of his playing style, that isn't going to sort of run those players ragged, that's going to cause the injuries. Yeah, finally the window's over. It's been a long day for you. I mean, I've been on here sort of over 4 hours, so it's been a long day for for a lot of people now. But I'm excited to see how we kick on as a football club and get this international break over and get these players in, and hopefully within the next couple of hours see a really cool Colin Muani announcement video, and all get excited again for Thomas Frank's regime.
Yes, yeah, I agree on that point, definitely. Jace, you know what? Actually, we've got that news coming through to us again, just to be reiterated. Colin Muani to Tottenham and Manos Solomon. The deal sheets have gone in. They've been submitted, so that we'll wait to see and give you an update as soon as we know more on those two respective moves. Tell you what now, if that falls through for Colin Muani, we'll have to log of an hibernate for a couple of weeks. Not for Jason, he's all right, but we're going to have to. Jace, let's come over to you. You mentioned earlier about the fullback area. Just pick up on what Gary said there. We want to get away with that till Jan, do you think, Jace, that fullback area, or how worried are you about that?
Well, you're going to have Davis having to play games of football. Simple as that. Simple as that. He's going to have to rotate with Mickey. He's going to have to play some games there, and he's going to have to rotate as the left back. So, and we all know what everyone's thoughts on Ben Davies is. I mean, it doesn't look like anything happened with Ake today, does it? Doesn't look like anything happened with Ake at all. Doesn't look like anyone's gone in for him. With Ake, to me, Luke missing out on an Ake today was far worse than missing out on a Lookman, because he could have played at centre-back to cover Mickey, and he could have played as a really good left-back when your Doggy or Spence or whatever need the rest. So, I think it wouldn't surprise me if that area of the pitch does catch us out between now and January. And I think it's definitely what we've got to sort out in January.
Yeah, but do you think that the problem with that one with Ake is, Jace, that City have lost 2 of their opening 3 games. They're not that great defensively. I mean, they're in a position really where they can let players go. They've let Akanji go. He's gone to Inter. That's done. I mean, I think the Ake one was always going to be difficult to do, because he actually featured in 2 of their opening 3 games of the season, Jace.
Yeah, quite possibly. But I'm not so sure City's entire transfer strategy is dependent on 3 games at the start of the season. I think they take a much longer term view than that, Manchester City. But, possibly they thought one of those 2 can go, and they got the better offer for Akanji than they did for Nathan Ake. And don't forget, Nathan Ake counts as homegrown for them in Europe as well, which Akanji doesn't. So, it can be all sorts of things. But, I mean, did Arsenal really need Hincapié when you've got Calafiore and players like that? But they've gone and done it, and we haven't. And it's a much worse. I mean, just on earlier, I'm not trying to judge or I'm not saying if they're good enough. They're not. Some people think they are. Some people think they're promising. Some people think they're useless. But my worry is when you end up with an Odebear stuck at the club, not registered for Europe, 5th choice in the league. The danger is he becomes your next Brian Hill, that he just drifts into absolutely nothing. So, get this player either out the door as a sale or out on loan or something, because you just can't stockpile like that. And, there's a spot in the squad that those players take up as 5th choice that we can use for somewhere else as a backup left back. It's just getting the balance of the squad right that concerns me more.
Yeah. Just come on you that point. Oh, sorry, go on, Jess. Go on, finish. Sorry.
And like I say, if Thomas Frank has the reputation for developing players like he has, and he has done with Watkins, with Mbuemo, with Wissa, with those players,
Ben Rama.
Then, why are we saying that, sorry, Thomas, you've worked with Tell for a month and chuck him away, having just spent 41 million? It's just madness. If you think about the logic of that. You've brought young players in to develop. You've now brought a manager in that develops young players, but we don't want to. We don't want to give him the chance to develop them. I don't get it.
Yeah, I do think you also understand, though. there is this thing about the window being open. I'm also guilty of this. You always want more. You always want more signings, but at the same time, you have to also, as you rightly say, they brought Thomas Frank in as a developer to develop the squad, so you have to let him do that. T, just come to you on this situation now. They've got. I mean, Jason thinks there that we're short in terms of defensive options. It would mean, as Jason thinks there, that Ben Davies is going to get game time. Do you worry, T, given last season's, and were here with me when we had that horrendous injury crisis, we were down to bare bones. Do you think this season around we can keep the likes of Romero, Van der Ven fit? Or do you worry again the fact we've already had 6-7 injuries already this season alone, Teach?
I think they have a better chance of staying fit under Thomas Frank than they did under Ange. And, again, I'll say again, I also have faith in Thomas Frank. And I think that people have to factor his acquisition into this transfer window. We also acquired, for me, one of the best managers in the country. I'm sure there are big clubs around the world that are looking at Thomas Frank. And I said on the last show, I'm sure there are already big clubs that are, damning themselves for perhaps not bringing them in themselves. And so it is a big part of coaching. I've said this so many times on this show. It's not just the manager's job to give a list of names to the chairman and go and buy me those. It is his job and the job of his staff to develop talent. That's why I said I think that Bergvall under Thomas Frank within the next 12 months will become one of the best central midfielders in the Premier League. I can see that. And so let me also then speak about Archie Gray. Why can't he pick up where Ange left off and give this boy a chance? Same with Odobert, same with Tell. And again, I'll say I've always been a big advocate of Brennan Johnson's. I said the last time I was on the show, if he doesn't score goals, which he is extremely effective at, he could do himself a favor just by putting himself about a bit more. Do track back, do help the left back if you're playing on the left, or the right back if you're playing on the right. Do close people down, do kind of show more exuberance and energy, because you're a young man and you should be able to put yourself about for at least 90 minutes. And so your question was, are we light at the back? Like on paper, yes. But again, none of us know what these coaches are going to do with these young players. We haven't seen Dragozin play under Thomas Frank. We haven't seen him. I put my hand on my heart and say, from what I saw under Ange, I don't rate him. But he was playing in a system that doesn't suit him because he's not lightning quick. I do think he's technical and physical enough for the Premier League. He seemed to be positionally as well aware as well. He seemed to be one of those players that was proud to sign for Tottenham Hotspur. That always means something to me, and I think that can give an extra 2, maybe 3% of impetus and effort, which is very important. So, and also, I like Ben Davies. He's not only because he's a loyal servant, he's such a clever player, and he can think his way out, and his decision making can often rescue or plug the gaps where perhaps technically or physically he is found wanting. So, let's see. Let's see how we get on, because again, I'm not the guy who's going to sit here and go, oh, we need to bring 5 players in. I just don't see that. And so, and if it's not going to be Davis, maybe this Takai kid comes in and does a good job for us. So I don't think we're as bare bones as people might think.
Okay. I mean, just on this point here, Gary, again, the boys have said from their perspective, we're going to have to watch out in terms of the central defensive area. I mean, the thing at the moment is we don't quite know really, like we've said, how different it's going to be from Frank to Ange in relation to fitness. It might be exactly the same. Again, we've let go of Postecoglou, but we've still got 6 or 7 injuries. Again, nothing really has changed in that. And just to be clear, we've changed the whole medical department and we've still got a number of injuries. And again, this Solanke injury is a worry. I don't know. Again, do you think it's one of those things, Gary? We can't really judge it now. We're going to have to let it play out. But again, January, to be honest with you, Joe's cover your ears. We've got 3 months until it opens back again. So you can always in January reassess the situation, can't you, Gary?
I mean, you can, but I think you look at one of the injuries, you could have Chesky, that happened last season. So, and Dragozin again last season, right? So there's been some injuries from then and during the summer. So it's difficult on there. in that sense. But equally, yeah, we can relook at things in January. But I think being proactive now and not reactive is the way forward. We should always be proactive, and as a football club, we're not. Especially in the transfer market. So it's like, there's areas of frustration now, of course. But looking at how Thomas Frank sets things up, he's not going to have the centre backs on the halfway line the whole time doing recovery runs every time he leaves the ball goes over the top, recovery run. That's not going to be happening under him. And we've got someone in the middle now, Polina, that's going to sit in there and break the play up. So it's going to be a lot easier, a lot better, fitness-wise, I hope, anyway, on those individuals. And equally, the reports you had last season that the training was just, they're flat out non-stop in during the week. That's not the right way to clearly, it's not the right way. So I hope that there's some lessons been learned and new medical staff is able to help. But equally, being proactive in the transfer market is the way forward. And you look at some of the other clubs around us, Liverpool have been clearly very proactive in the way that they've done their business early on. So I hope that we can look at our squad that we have now and say, yeah, we can get through it. But there's some frustration clearly from everybody sat here. I think we're still slightly short in certain areas. And again, it's just, we say this every summer, right? We're short. We're left short. And I don't. It is disappointing again that we're left short in a critical area that we really struggled with last season.
I think again that this is the thing at the moment. I laugh and joke with you, Jace. We don't know right now, really. We don't know really how bad or how well off or how not we are, because at the moment it's impossible to say so. But I think we're going to know. I think in the next 3 or 4 months where we are very clearly, because we've got the Champions League phase that we're going to have to get through. I think from there, that will give us a decent indication really of what we need to do. And I think everyone makes that point. It can't all be done in one window. I think if someone told you at the start of the summer, you get 4 players in that would elevate the first team, where bearing in mind, Jace, me and you started this show nearly 10 years ago under Ainic and Daniel Levy. If someone says you had 4 players in that actually go in and affect the first team, many wouldn't have believed you. So we've had 4 players that have come in. That's nearly half the team. Yeah, and again, maybe I'm exaggerating there. Look, do I want more? Of course I want more, but I always want more. And I just wonder, is it a football fan's thing? Does any football fan really ever come out of a window thinking, we've done enough? I don't know. But Gal, we're going to let you go, mate. Thank you for the 4-hour stint. You've been amazing. We can't thank you enough. I don't know why Jason's complaining. He's going to do less than 4 hours. Steve will do less than 4 hours, bless his heart. Gaz, thank you so much. You've been a star. Where can we find you? Tell us where they can find you. Go on, what do you say, Jace?
I was just going to say, some of those comments about some of the comments that Van der Ven won't get us tested. Did they not watch Bournemouth? He made about 5 recovery sprints and 6 sliding tackles in the game against Bournemouth.
Yeah. Well, listen,
his hamstring will go if he has to play like he did against Bournemouth. His hamstring will go by the end of next week.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, we'll come on to that shortly. But Gal, you've been an absolute star, mate. Thank you so much for everything. Gal, where can we find you across social media? Like I say, I know it's a crazy time right now, and we can all settle down now with a focus being back on the football.
Yeah, on Twitter, if you or X, if you want to follow me on there. If you want to talk Tottenham or Serie A, those type of things that I cover a lot. But appreciate you having us on. Great effort, and let's hope for less recovery runs for Jason's sanity.
Yeah, definitely for Jason's sanity, less recovery runs. Gary, you've been a star. We're going to go for our next break of the show. Look, we're adaptable, we're flexible. We've got George Achillia in makeup. He's coming in next. We're going to let Gary go. We're going to bring George in. Gary's been a star. And whilst George settles into the background, he gets a lovely drink poured for himself, hopefully. Hopefully someone's going to be on that for us in the background. He's laughing away there, George, I can tell you. We can tell you, just to be very, very clear where we are at the moment, that the deal sheet has gone in now. That has been submitted for both Manor Solomon, for those that have missed that news. Manor Solomon, the deal sheet's gone in to take him to Crystal Palace. There was a late attempt that me and Tej were laughing about earlier, where Benfica tried to get a flight ready for him. If you saw a jumbo jet going over your head in reverse mode on a U-turn. That was a Manor Solomon. That jumbo jet has been cancelled now. Jason is looking so confused at what I'm talking about right now, but it doesn't like Manor Solomon is on his way to Crystal Palace in his final hour or so of the window. The deal sheet has also gone in, I can tell you, for Kolo Muani to be a Tottenham player. He's at Hotspur Way, undergoing a medical, already signed the contract. So there's no get out now for Muani. He will be a Tottenham player until at least June of 2026. One man that's been studying. I'm not sure he's been advancing or negotiating or edging in this last 12 hours or so. George Achilles with us. George, lovely to have you here. Welcome to the end of the transfer window. It's over. It's shut. Oh, let's go with a hospital question, shall we, G? Did we do enough?
No, I don't think so. I think we knew, and I was listening to you guys earlier as well. I think it's a strange window for me because some of the signings I thought were phenomenal. Like Xavi Simons, I wouldn't expect us to sign that sort of caliber of player before the window started. And Kudus, I thought was a brilliant signing. I think Palinha brings a lot of experience, although I think, as you guys would have been aware on shows that we've done before, I was personally after more of a deep line playmaker in midfield, because as much as I think Palinha brings amazing experience and is great against teams like City, against the Liverpool, maybe in the Champions League against tough teams as well, I think he doesn't really offer us too much in the games like we saw against Bournemouth, where we have to break through the middle. So I think he's a little bit limited, but I completely value the fact that he brings so much experience to the team. So I think we made some really good signings. But the problem is we've also been embarrassed about 3 or 4 times throughout the window. And I think when you spend weeks and weeks and weeks trying to get Savinho over the line, and you don't bring in a left centre back / left back, which is a position I think we've said we've needed for the last 2 windows, well, not including this one, so the 2 prior, and we still haven't got that over the line. I think it's hard not to feel left short, but I think that's mainly down to the fact that it was poor planning for the squad, because we've got so many limited spaces in that Champions League team, or squad, should I say, that I feel like we could only get so many over the line by selling or just not registering other players, and that can create a divide in the squad. So we kind of shot ourselves in the foot from the get-go, really. And then the fact that Basuma's not even gone yet is mad to me. Although I believe the Turkish window is still open, so there is a chance he can still leave. But I think we it's, as much as there are some brilliant signings within what we've done, and we've clearly gone up a level in the type of player we're trying to sign, I still think we've been left short in for what we need, in my opinion.
Interesting. Like I say, I do get that. You know, I think obviously we can't do everything in one window. This is the thing, isn't it? You know, we can only do so much. And where we are right now with the squad that we've got, I think we just want to get back to a point where, I mean, me and Jason had this conversation the other day. Does this squad right now put us at a level where at least we are competing? And don't go mad when I say this, you know, because I want to be higher than this, you know, but are we competing with the likes of Newcastle, Villa, Brighton, Bournemouth to at least be above those teams? I think, you know, we've got to put my arm in saying this, we've got to get above those teams to start with before you look at Arsenal, Chelsea, City, Liverpool. I'm not sure where United are going to be, but I mean, Jace, on that basis, do you think we've done enough to at least be in the round or above those teams?
I honestly look at it, Rick, and I think Nottingham Forest went from 17th to 5th after 35 match weeks last year. And I think Tottenham's squad right tonight is stronger than Nottingham Forest's was last season, that went from 17th to 5th. So, yeah, I do think we can do. Then you throw in all the, and I don't want to get into the argument, but we're throwing in all the advantages that Thomas Frank brings you that we didn't have last year. You know, is Thomas Frank a better manager than Nuno? Is he a better manager than Hertzler? Is he a better manager than Iriola or whatever? Maybe not when you see Saturday, but you know what I'm getting at. So, you know, we're told that he's going to bring massive improvements to those players. So, yeah, I do think there's no reason, and there's no reason why we can't finish at least 6th when I look at the rest of those sides.
Do you agree, Teach?
No reason at all.
Yeah, and let's also factor in, you know, we do have key players on the injury table right now who are due back. You know, I mean, Kulusevski, I bought his shirt like that. Like I'm such a fan of his. I had so many conversations about how did Juve not turn this kid into an absolute world beater. And as far as that kind of breaking the lines player that George was talking about, I mean, he's him, right? You know, I mean, especially if he's going to be deployed centrally. And I agree with George. I do think Paulinho was a really solid signing, pun kind of intended, but we do need a bit more cut and thrust centrally. And I really think he gives us that. I'm also going to triple down now on Lucas Bergvall. I think he is going to be an electric player under Thomas Frank. And also, I love the fact that he was annoyed. You know, people are posting videos, oh, he was annoyed that he wasn't selected or whatever, you know, when he was warming up and he got a bit irritated. You know, I mean, listen, a player doesn't find out during the warm-up that he's not playing. He knew he wasn't playing.
I like to see that from a player as well, though, TJ. I don't mind
Brother,
that.
that's what I'm going to go on to say. I like that, man. You know, that's great. And that really pushes him and it pushes Sarr. And again, Archie Gray, mate, if you want to play centrally, you know, that's who you're against. So again, I don't need to wax lyrical about how important it is for players to push each other for spots. You know, everybody knows that, right? But these are champagne problems. And so to Jason's point, I do think we have enough to punch significantly higher than them because we also have a manager and a coaching staff who are famed for turning 50p into a quid. And so I don't think it's fair or accurate or useful even or beneficial to kind of bin off all these other players. I've said before as well, I can see a player in Odegaard. I really can. I think he's got the pace and the guile for the Premier League. I haven't seen it yet in Tell, but I'm not going to write the kid off because he's 20 years old. But there are players there that need a wee polish to really shine, in my opinion. And if we keep them fit, there's no reason, I don't think, why we could do top four. There's no reason if we keep them fit.
Yeah. What do you think, George, on that point with the wingers that we've got assembled right now and what they offer us? Where are we? Because I know there's a lot of fans out there that have got their concerns over. Even Brendan Johnson has bagged 18 goals last season. His overall influence actually during games when he's not scoring, which sounds crazy because I've said this before. I was saying this to Adam on Saturday. You know, the hardest thing to do in the game is score. He's done it 18, 19 times last season. But the problem with Brendan is when he's not scoring, it sounds crazy. What is he doing? But on a lot of the time, he's scoring goals. And then you've got Wilson Odegaard. I have to say this with Wilson for me. I think he's very, very raw. Very raw, Wilson. I look at him, there's a lot of enthusiasm there. I'm not quite sure if he's ready yet. I'll be honest, I'm not quite sure if he's not quite ready yet. And Tell, I have to see, as I say it with Tell, I mean, the fact that, I mean, Jason said it earlier in the show perfectly. You know, we bought Tell on the back of Kolo Muani rejecting Tottenham in January. And now, in the summer, we've gone and signed Kolo Muani, albeit on a loan, but we spent 40 million on Tell. So what does that mean for Matisse Tell? What does that tell you about Matisse Tell? How does Matisse Tell feel? I mean, get your head around that, George. What does that mean for these wingers? Or where do these futures of these wingers lie at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting one because I agree with what you're saying. I think, for me personally, I think with Odegaard and Tell, I do see something in them for completely different reasons. I think that they all have their positives and negatives. I think Tell, for me, out of that young bunch, I'll call it, I think for me, I think he has the best mentality of the lot. But again, there have been situations where I've been left disappointed where I think he makes the wrong decision, whether that be maybe the shot timing wasn't quite right or placement. But I think he presses well, and I think he's got. I just don't see him as a striker. I think we've misused him completely. But then that means stepping on Odegaard's toes as well, because he'd have to be out on the left. I think Odegaard and Tell work well together, mainly because they know each other so well from the under-21s, and they looked really good in the under-21 tournament. But again, if you're playing them both together, that means you're sacrificing a lot of other quality players in the team. And it's like you say, they're very, very, very raw talents and need time to be refined. And my worry is like, we're already seeing Solanke's got what seems to be quite a bad injury. We all know Richarlison at some point will get an injury himself as well. And that's why I think Muani has actually probably been quite a smart move in case we have issues up front. And then on the left, I mean, the problem is, yes, Johnson does score goals and has done for us. But when he hasn't, like you say, it's very frustrating. And I think that diminishes the team overall to be able to score goals from other positions. I think more often than not, we're not winning games. I may be misremembering, but I don't think we're winning games by massive margins when he's scoring. So it's a bit of a conundrum. I do worry we've been in the situation before where we've had a few injuries and then all of a sudden the team doesn't look quite right going forward. And I just feel like that could potentially happen again if it ends up being that Tell and Odebear are left as our striker and wingers.
What do you think of that, Jace? Is that fair points there from George in regards to the winger situation?
Yeah, but I mean, if I look at, we don't know how long Solanke's out, do we, at the moment? But I mean, even if you looked at Saturday, and you replayed that game next week, you know, you got Richie would be the 9 still. Conor Muani can go left. Johnson would be on the bench, and Johnson's got 18 goals last year, so you've got a goal scorer on the bench in Johnson anyway. You know, there's still options there, and he'd come on before Teo and Odebear as it was. So, and you know, if Richie wasn't working down the middle, you've now got the option to put Muani down the middle and chuck Richie there. Don't forget, Richie's played as the left kind of forward for a lot of his time as well. So I still think there's enough options there to just try and calm down and settle what we've got, get through the next 4 months. And you know what? If we have to go big in January, go big in January. But let's just take a minute to realise what we've got. I think Muani coming in today is a big help because, you know, his goals record, be it in Frankfurt, be it in Germany, be it at PSG when he went to Juve, he has a goals record. There's a big goals record. So, you know, there's extra goals in the team there that we've got. I think there's enough there to get us through to the January window. And then we'll have to look. Depends. I mean, if Solanke was back fit by then and back to the form that we saw at the start of last season.
Yep.
And you'd have the Richie option, the Muani option, Johnson on a bench. You know, there's enough options there to get you going. That's for sure.
The one thing I will say, sorry, very quickly, is that we aren't going to see Tell or Odebear develop without the game time. So I think realistically, if we are going to want to realise their potential, which I do have faith in Frank being able to develop young players, especially forwards, because he's done that throughout his whole career as a manager so far. We're going to have to trust the fact that clearly Frank wanted to keep them and to potentially use them. And I think where it becomes an issue for me is if we start losing a lot, if we have an injury crisis up front.
We had 2 last season and 2 the year before.
That's what I mean, but mainly in the attacking areas, I think that's where we're going to start seeing issues because then you're then playing a bunch of kids in the forward line again. Say you're missing Kudus and Xavi Simons and maybe Solanke or Richarlison, whatever, then it might start becoming an issue. But I think if you've still got Kudus right, one of Richarlison, Solanke, Muani, whoever ends up being up front, Xavi Simons in the 10, I think that will make a huge, huge difference. If you've got those 3 quality players, and then you've got more of an up-and-coming person like Tell or Odebear on the left, I do think that is how they can develop by playing with better players around them. Where I think they'll start to struggle is if we suddenly lose Simons and suddenly lose Kudus, and then we're relying on Odebear and Tell, that's where it might be a bit too much on them. But hopefully they can develop throughout the season in those minutes on the left side.
Yeah. It's a tricky one. I mean, Tej, just a penny for Matisse Tell's thoughts. You know, he's joined the club for a fee of 40 million. He's seen this window Tottenham going by Kudus, that plays as a winger, Xavi Simons, that plays as a 10 and also can play as a winger, and then they brought in Muani on deadline day. Does that dent the confidence of Matisse Tell, or does that make Matisse Tell even more fired up to prove a point?
Spur him on. Yeah, I mean, that's the $1 million question, isn't it? It's like, you know, he's a tough one to work out. Again, I've said already on this show, and I've said it before, he is 20 years old. There's definitely a player there. I just don't know what. Like, again, so I can look at Odebear, and he, for me, is easier to appraise because he's really fast and he has those kind of twitch muscle movements. where I can see if he builds the confidence to just run at a player, so as soon as Kudus gets listen, Kudus is so strong physically that I don't see either of these kids having his kind of physical strength, or certainly not yet. Kudus can also receive the ball with a player right on his back and just roll that player and go. But also, if Kudus is facing a player, his first thought is, I'm going to take this guy on. And so if Odegaard does that, if someone can say to him, listen, man, you're good enough to beat the guy standing in front of you, and he starts doing it, I think I can see a player there. Tell, for me, is more of an enigma right now. I said on the last show, he looks like he's probably fast. He isn't. So what is his skill? Is it his finishing? I think George is right. He's not a striker, because I haven't seen his finishing. But finishing, again, is so much about confidence. To Jason's point, who would have picked Chris Woods at Forest last season to be one of the highest scorers in the league? So it's such a conundrum. And I'm never going to be the person who professes to have all the answers. Never. But I will say, I think I can see potential in where it's going to work. I will dine out on this forever, that I spotted Riyad Mahrez at Leicester. I was like, he is lightning, that kid, like a really gifted player. So what's it going to do to his confidence, Rick? Hopefully he'll have enough people around him as well. And look, another French speaker coming in, saying to him, listen, man, if Muani comes in and goes, I'm not here for your spot here, lad. Let's work together. We got you, me, and Wilson. We all share a common language. And, maybe it helps him, mate, because no one knows. No one knows what unlocks that little piece in a player's mind. He certainly has talent. Otherwise, he's not on Bayern's books. But yes, they do need to be played. And so where we can kind of use the cups, and I know the cups are really important to you, Rick, and they're very important to me as well, but they do need to be played. So those earlier rounds, start those kids and put your arm around them and go, listen, man, you are carrying the weight of these competitions on your shoulders this afternoon. So rise to the occasion. So it's going to be really tricky, man. But that's my opinion. And I'm hoping he'll have some guys come into the squad who he shares a common language with, coming from the same country, so a common culture as well. And it will help. It will help all three of them. Who knows? Maybe there'll be this electric front three that we didn't know we had.
I think for just quickly on Tell, where I think we've kind of misused him, and this is when I was doing a lot of research into him when we were in for him in January. When you look at his goals and maybe how he scored or assisted for Bayern Munich, a lot of the time it's from the left-hand side and he drives centrally, very much like an inside forward. Similar to
are you saying he's from the left, but then he cuts in on his right? Is that
so he starts on the left and he sort of drifts towards goal, which again I think kind of suits what kind of Sade was doing at Brentford, and very much similar to Sonny in that style.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
I know people are going to misinterpret that and say that Tell's like Son. I've not said that. If we're talking about
no one's like Son.
No, exactly. If we're talking about the profile of player, the best way to use Tell is to have him from the left, drive towards the middle on the edge of the area, and that's where he scored most of his goals, shooting from the edge of the area in those positions in that sort of half space. And I feel like the only game where I've seen us use him in that sort of situation, which was his best game in my opinion in a Spurs top, was Frankfurt away. Frankfurt away, when it was him and a doggy on the left side, I think Ange used Tell very well. Ever since then, and even before then, we've used him as a number 9, a solo number 9, which doesn't work. Whereas on Saturday, actually, when he came on, he played as a second striker with Richarlison and had probably our best effort alongside Odegaard towards the end of that game. So I personally think he's just been misused. But again, it's going to be up to Frank to see what he can do with him and Odegaard in this current team.
That's my biggest worry, actually. I mean, I said this to you as well, Jace. With Tell, actually Tell and Odegaard, both of them, they look such confidence players that when the confidence isn't there, they don't strike me as players that really kind of can get hold of a game and change it. They look like players for me that are good at playing 1 or 2-0 up. Is that fair from what we've seen so far, or I'm talking crazy on that?
Yeah. No, I think what you're saying there is right at the moment, but that doesn't mean to say they'll stay that way forever, does it? But like I said, if you have doubts about them, and a player like Odebear is going to be something like 5th or 6th choice this year, and he probably won't get the European game. So, really, I mean, not being funny, if Wilson Odebear tears Doncaster apart, is that really going to give him the confidence when people are just going to say, yeah, but it's only Doncaster and you're at home? So, I'd have much sooner seen Odebear go out on loan to a Palace, to one of the Premier League clubs, even if it's one of the newly promoted clubs or something, and get some deal. Even if we'd have loaned him back to Burnley for the season or something. But they won't get the confidence by not playing, will they? That's for sure. But like I say, there's still plenty of options there. But my worry is in all of them is Richie, Kudus, maybe Muani is our front three in the next game. You'd look to the bench and think, if we need a goal, who are you going to bring on? If you've got Johnson there, who's got 18 goals in the European Cup final winner last year, he's probably going to come on first, isn't he? As your first choice if you're chasing a goal or something. So, and then, are you really then going to have Tell and Odebear and Johnson all on the bench? I can see one of those not even on the bench. So they're never going to get there, are they? That's our big problem.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. It is tricky. Look, we're going to see. Tej, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. It's been lovely to have you on. Like I say, it's weird having you on a game day, but like I say, it's been lovely having you on to discuss where we are right now, because quite naturally, we're going to see a lot of these games with you, and we're going to reflect back to obviously this window being one where we ask that question. Only time will tell whether we've done enough or not. But I know, Tej, I know you're the same as the boys also in our little family WhatsApp group we've got, our little Last One Spurs family group. I know there's a feeling in there. I mean, probably driven by Jason, but a lot of us feel the same. We can't wait for the football, Tej, can we? We've got Champions League nights coming. You're going to be a massive part of that. I know. Tell us quickly about LA. Just very quickly, tell us about LA, the amount of love you got over there.
Thank you, mate.
Tell us.
Yeah, so I went to the LFC game last night. One of my great friends over here, Jordan, couldn't use his tickets, said, do you want these tickets? And listen, man, there's so much to say about this game. It was a wonderful atmosphere. And again, I met so many fantastic Tottenham fans. Like Sonny and Tottenham were so well represented. And not just, with Sonny on the back. I did, like I said, I wanted to get photos with as many of them as possible. I'll be posting them onto my Instagram account, and then I'll be posting them as well. Thank you so much. Thank you, mate. I'll be posting them on X as well, and making sure that I at Last Word on Spurs so people can see all those photos. And it's just nice to see for Tottenham fans. We're so well represented by lovely people all over the world. And so that was huge, huge for me. And also, it's such a small stadium. I think it only seats 20,000 or 22,000. I was right on the halfway line, maybe 5 meters from Sonny. He was right there. It was incredible. So I'll post some of that. So my thanks to all those lovely people that I met last night. Just to kind of wrap up this transfer window thing as well, I think it's really important that we understand Thomas Frank was the best signing we made. And we brought in Xavi Simons, we brought in Paulinho, we brought in Kudus, we brought in Muani. It could have been so much worse. Let the man cook. Let him take this young talent, bed them in, give them game time, big them up on the training pitch, make them realize you're at one of the biggest, best clubs in the world. We're here for you. We're here to support you. And let's see what we can get done. I cannot wait for the season to start in earnest. My thanks to you as ever, Ricky. Do please like and subscribe to this show. The man works so hard and is so deserving of all of his accolades. To the boys, Jason, lovely to see you as always, brother. Always a pleasure. George, lovely to see you too, mates. My thanks to you all.
Bless you, mate. We'll see Tej back in the family chat. We will see.
I'll post all those photos. Have a look out for them, guys.
You're a superstar. Let's wrap up where we are, guys, in terms of this.
So Gahey's off then.
Yeah, just because
Gahey's move is off.
Yeah, Mark Gahey's move is off. Joining us in a second to the panel, Lee McQueen's back. Lee's on his way in. Lee's coming back into the show in a second. So just to give you a roundup of where we are right now in terms of this window, like I said earlier, Rando Muani, he is at Hotspur way. He's already undergone his medical, signed his contract for Tottenham. You'd imagine now they're just doing the VT in terms of all that jazz, and he will be a Spurs player announced. Like I said, I think also just to bear in mind, we are having that confirmation from Alistair Gold for those that are asking. Also, quite quickly, Rando Muani would be able to play for Spurs against PSG in the Champions League in November. as UEFA rules allow it. So all that for a turn up for the books. Muani would be allowed to play for Spurs against PSG in the Champions League, despite only being at Spurs on loan, which is fascinating. So, yeah, going to be interesting, that is for
Let
sure.
him rip the shirt off when he's celebrating his hat trick. That would be great.
Listen, we're all going to see on that. Like I say, that has been confirmed by Alistair Gold. Look, people may be asking in terms of where we are with regards to other moves at the moment. We're still waiting. You know, a deal sheet did go in for Manus Solomon, who is trying to complete a deal to Crystal Palace. Alistair Gold reporting that is a straight loan. There is no option. There is no obligation to buy. Manus Solomon is going to Crystal Palace on a straight loan deal. And look, one for the people that love this man, because I think we all love this man, Dele Alli. This is quite sad news, potentially. Dele expected to terminate his contract at Como. Now the transfer window is closed and become a free agent as he seeks to continue to rebuild his career. We're all with you, Dele. We are, like I say, Dele, we wish you all the best. Gave us so many memories as Tottenham fans. And look, we wish Dele all the best. But look, quite quickly, we go back to that Manus Solomon deal. That deal sheet has been signed. So we're still waiting to find out when that will get done. Quite critically as well, as we've mentioned, Bryan Hill. I mean, in the early part of the day with Bryan Hill, there was a move on the table to go to Girona, where Spurs agreed a fee of 8.3 million with the side, the Italian side. Look, by all accounts, we thought that deal was getting done. There was early reports during the week that, with regards to Hill, Tottenham may have had to rip up his contract for him to leave the club, but they've agreed a fee. Where we are with it, we just don't quite know. We had no update from either side. We had no update from the Premier League. So Bryan Hill's move to Girona is currently in the balance. We've got no update on that. When we know more, we must certainly let you know. Yves Bissouma, for those that are wondering, he hasn't left Tottenham Hotspur during this UK transfer window. We've said this quite critically, that the Turkish window, the Saudi window, they are open 7 days later than the UK window. So Yves Bissouma can still move on in this next week or so to one of those respective clubs in those respective countries. So Saudi, Turkey, that's where Bissouma may obviously end up going. He was due to go to Galatasaray last week. The move was off due to his physical condition and Galatasaray wanting a player available immediately. Guys, we've had over 80,000 of you that have been watching us from 9:30 this morning. Thank you ever so much for all your incredible support for Last Word on Spurs. And I'm now being informed that we've had nearly over 3 million of you. 3 million of you have been viewing this show during the January transfer window. Quite simply, amazing numbers. You are all amazing people, and you give up so much time for this show. We greatly appreciate it. We're joined with the best guest you can find. And Lee McQueen is back in the building. There you go. Lee McQueen is back. People ask me where Lee is. Lee's back in the building. We're joined by Jason McGovern. We're joined by George Achillia. It's been a real team effort on this edition of Last Word on Spurs. Macca, let's bring you in. Window over. Jason smiling. Most happy. Have we done enough, Macca? Firstly, how are you? Lovely to see you.
Yeah, really good, mate. Really good. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody, viewers and listeners. It's been a while. Do you know what? Actually, Rick, it's only been about 2 months, to be fair. But like
it's
Jason,
it's not been that long. It's not been that long.
It hasn't actually. Like Jason, I normally duck out of transfer window because you like absolutely go bazonkers with it all. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's very, very good, mate. Very, very good indeed. So yeah, no, can't grumble, mate. Can't grumble.
We're going to come on to in a second, kind of where we are in terms of what we would rate the window a bit later on. We've also got the wonderful Darren Hart, who's going to be joining us a bit later on as well. So it's been a full team effort on this one. We've literally scoured the whole team to come and make this work. Lee, let's start with you. Look, it's been a day where really, fans always want more. They love more, of course. But we've got one. We've got one that we're getting done right now. It's only a loan, but it is Muani. Lee, have we done enough? I know, again, we had you on, I think we go back now, I think to the Alistair Gold show, and I think there was a feeling that we were going to have a big summer. Look, we've had 4 players that come in and really, elevated the first team. I know, again, you've had loads of questions put to you about, Daniel Levy's position and everything about that, but it does feel, just to be clear, it does feel there has been a change in tact at the football club. We've brought players in of a certain calibre. The targets that we've had also been of a certain calibre. I think if you said in the past Tottenham would go and bring 4 players in that would elevate the first team, not many people would believe it. So do you personally feel there's been a change at the club in terms of maybe a momentum shift in terms of the ambition and the targets they've been dealing with this window?
Yeah, well, thanks for bringing up the Levy piece, Rick, right at the beginning.
We'll get it. I think get it out nice and early.
Yeah, exactly. Look, like I'm tier 1, right? You lot know I predicted 5 things and 5 things happened. The 6th thing just hasn't happened yet. Patience, team, patience, right? Look, I mean, I only give out the news that I'm told. I'm not in the know. I share it with you lot. I share it with the team. And my knowledge is still that something will change. Bigger than, thank you, Nick, bigger than what we can see on the front. But to answer your question, Rick, it has changed. There's no doubt about it. Anyone thinking that this is just normal Daniel Levy pulling all of the strings, I just can't see that. When have we gone out and bought 3 or 4 first team players that come straight into that first 11? When have we actually done that? I'm just looking at some of the business that we've done. Kevin Danso and obviously Matthias Tell a little bit go under the radar because they were loans, obviously, but now they've been made permanent. So that's another 51 million quid that's shelled out. We've got 55 million roughly plus add-ons with Kudus, who I think, by the way, I ain't been on obviously since we signed him. I think he's been absolutely brilliant. And of course, Vuskovic, as I probably butchered his name clearly.
No, you haven't.
I've done all right.
Your pronunciation's got better since you've left them. You should stay away more often.
I've been practicing, team. 12 million quid as well. So you look at that, some of the other ones. I mean, reportedly 51 rising to a club record with all the add-ons with Xavi Simmons as well. And now you're talking about the 2 loan deals that we've got in. I think Palina is going to be an absolutely excellent signing. And Kolo Muani, again. What did he get? 10 goals. George, you probably got stats in front of you better than I have, but 10 goals in Serie A, I think, last year. And it was only a half a season that he was there. So, and we was after him in January, wasn't we? I mean, I said to Jace, didn't we? You and I, Jace, said on the group earlier, it's a little bit like, it smells of a bit of desperation, maybe the Kolo Muani one, but we were in for him in January and couldn't get that over the line. So when you look at some of them names, it's a lot better than one first team signing that they gave Ange, who won us a trophy, by the way, last season. They gave us one first team player last season, didn't they? Dominic Solanke.
Yeah, I mean, you look back at the windows now. I mean, that's an interesting point there, Jace, coming round to you.
The one thing I'd say is, the previous season, we had Vicario, Van der Ven, Udogie and Madison. Well, they all first team players.
That was my question I was going to ask you there.
It's only 2 years ago.
Well, in comparison, I suppose, and let me ask you this. In comparison to Ange's first season, to what Frank has been given in his first season, I can tell you that Tottenham are about to drop right now the signing of Kolo Muani. It's on their X account. This is going to be coming through in a second. So we'll tell you he is a Tottenham player, at least on loan to the end of the season. In your opinion, Jace, with relation to...
They've just posted it.
They've just posted it. Gee, thank you. We're going to come round to it. We're going to get this question out of the way to Jason. Has Thomas Frank been given a better or a similar-ish window to what Ange had in his first season? Or can you just simply not predict that yet until we've seen the first window play out, Jace?
I think you have to wait and see how it plays out. The one perhaps difference between this window and Ange's first window is that they both got 4 starters, but Ange had Kane sold from under him.
Great point.
On the penultimate day of the window, and that's maybe the slight difference.
What about Frank losing Sonny, captain of the football club, figurehead of the football club?
Yeah, Frank losing Sonny, but Sonny isn't quite now the level that Kane was 2 years ago, was he? So that's the slight difference between the two. If I'd say it's slightly better for Thomas Frank this one than it was for Ange 2 years ago. But like I say, we still got 4 starters through that. And don't forget, who was it? It's who got the 7 starters? So AVB got 7 starters in one window, didn't they?
They sold Bale, didn't they? They did say Bale. They sold Bale. I mean,
we have done it before. It's not strictly true to say we've never done it.
What do you think, Gia? Listen, let's go to that breaking news. We do understand, or there's no understanding. You go to Spurs official now. Tottenham have announced the signing of Kolo Muani. That's on a season-long loan. That's a done deal. Spurs have got their man. They've added to that front line. I mean, again, in terms of knowing how bad Dominic Solanke injuries is, we're not quite sure because he was pitching in the gym earlier and looked fairly okay. But the suggestions are that there was concerns it was worse than once feared. But Cullen Muani, a player, George, maybe just gives a bit of background on him, George. He can play across the front three, but he's predominantly seen as a central striker. In terms of what was left out there on deadline day, George, how well did the club do to get him in?
Yeah, no, you got it spot on there. Definitely mainly a striker. Has played on the left, has played on the right. He's played everywhere on the front three. And to be fair, with when he was playing for France, especially in that World Cup, well, that infamous one-on-one miss he had with Martinez in the final, him and Thuram both basically come on almost as, I mean, they both kind of play striker. They both kind of play on the left. They were interchanging a lot in that in across that tournament. So yeah, I mean, he can cover left, he can cover right, but I'd say predominantly he is a striker. But still, for someone of his size, is actually quite technically gifted with the ball at his feet and very quick as well. So it'll be good to see. Yeah, and like Lee was saying there, he's got I think it's 8 in 16 for Juventus, so 1 in every 2 games. And bearing in mind he was out of it at PSG. Maybe not necessarily low on confidence, but low on game time for sure. I think that's a really good return. And to be fair, if you actually watch the goals as well, they were good. They were very good. So I like that signing a lot, especially, deadline day. I think I'd imagine the Solanke situation is what accelerated it all. I think in my eyes, we would have been focusing on an out-and-out left winger if we weren't worried about the Solanke situation. I think that injury, let's say it's 2 months. That's 2 months too many when we know that Richarlison is made of glass, which is quite sad because when he does play, he's usually good for us, bar Saturday. But the problem is if Solanke was out for 2 months and then Richarlison also went out injured again, like we probably expect him to at some point. Like I said earlier, we're then just left with Tel as our only quote-unquote striker option. And like I said before as well, I don't see him as a number 9. So I think this is a really, really, really important sort of last-minute move that we had to make because of the recurring injury to Solanke. And I think it could be really good for someone like Frank.
Do you think on that point, I mean, just to circle back on Umaka, do you think it should give us confidence that Cullen Muani was a previous target they've looked at, therefore they would have done some form of due diligence on him? I mean, I know he rejected us last January, but the fact we know the player a little bit, we're not bringing someone in as a complete unknown. Should that give us confidence a little bit that, we've done some form of due diligence to believe this guy's going to really, hopefully help us in this next 6 months, 12 months?
Yeah, you would hope so. Well, you say hope so, that you would. I mean, that's one thing I can't level at the club. They are working hard behind the scenes.
Well, they've been working hard today, but they just simply haven't got their ones over the line. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think Jace made a really good point earlier, whether you said this on the show earlier, Jace, or no, it's in our group. But, if they shut transfer deadline day on July the 31st, all these deals would have been done in July the 31st, wouldn't they? Right? I mean, it's such a ridiculous, it just goes to show you, team, that you don't need to wait all of this time to get these deals done, really, because actually it is just governed by the window, and the window's governed by the media, and media are setting their own agenda to make this do these shows. Rick, I'm not having a go at that. At the end of the day, otherwise we're not here. But
very true.
Yeah, it's true. But look, I think Cullen Muani, right, he's 18-16. Thanks, G, for correcting me. He's obviously got some very good pedigree. I need one. Pedigree in the Champions League, and also as well, he brings something to the table. As a former PSG, well, he's still a PSG player, but former PSG player playing at the highest level. So, I think that can really help. I mean, people are getting on Tell's back. I mean, look, I don't particularly think he's had a great start to his Tottenham career. Let's have it right. Let's not sugarcoat it. But equally as well, he's 19. We started the Premier League season with 2 teenage midfielders in our midfield. We by adding he's not old, is he? He's 26. So to add in that, Polina as well, I think he's 29. Again, typically wouldn't have been signing. So people are saying, but it's only on a loan. But that's good for us, right? Because if they do really well, then we can make them permanent. And if they don't do so well, we can do a Timo Werner. So I think it works. I think it works well. And actually, if you look at Spurs' business over the last, ever since Paratici, pre-Conte, maybe even Jose, they've always been in that loan market. I mean, we give the club a lot of stick, and that's fair enough, and they absolutely deserve it. But actually, when you look at these managers that are on screen here, a lot of the time, what we didn't do under Poch, for example, is work the loan market very well, and actually we've worked that a lot better. Considering, you know, that we signed the likes of Jedson Fernandez, thinking that we're going to get, you know, Bruno, or he's going to be the next big thing, and it weren't Bruno, it was Jedson that we got, and you know, we were offloading him again. So, you know, I think the loan market works for us in that particular way. I also do think as well, to a certain degree, it gives the player an opportunity to feel if they want to be part of Tottenham as well. You know, and that is, you know, it's like recruitment, isn't it? Right? It's a two-way street.
Yeah, of course.
I think with Kyler Muani, Rick, he probably, if we're being honest, he's probably thinking he's got a higher ceiling than Tottenham Hotspur. But that said, he comes in, starts scoring goals, doing well, fans love him, start getting him a tune, getting Muani on the back of your shirt. All of a sudden, and you've seen, right? You've seen that. Yeah, look, I've got him on there now. Look. Oh, unlucky. But you know, you've seen that can change things up. So I think when you look at the window, I'm looking at other screens. Obviously, there's loads of stuff going on, right? So you know, I think the disappointment for this window is shifting players. And again, sorry, Jace, if you've spoken about this, but Jay says this a lot, and I 100% agree with him. George and me, the three of us actually in the big group, weren't we? We was having a chat about this the other day. The amount of money that we don't end up shifting or moving on, I think that can, you know, that can definitely be improved. But actually, starters coming into the Tottenham Hotspur team, and you're right, Jace. Actually, you know, give club credit. You know, it has happened before. It happened a couple of seasons ago with Ange. What I would say about that is that, you know, Xavi Simons, everyone knows who he is, and everyone's raving about him. Mohamed Kudus, you know, he's a quality player that has been in the Premier League with Premier League experience. You know, and we've already talked about Kyler Muani as well in terms of what you can bring to the table. We've already seen Polina at the highest level, not so much at Bayern, but certainly at Fulham in the Premier League, being an absolute beast. I think he got more than 50 or more tackles in a season than anyone else. So you can see that quality. Whereas you look at a Vicario, you look at a Van der Ven, and obviously they are quality because we've seen them and they are first teamers. But you know, them two in particular, we didn't really know much about them. They've been brilliant, but we haven't really too much about them. So, and again, that doesn't mean that these guys are going to be more of a success than the other guys, and vice versa. It's just there seems to be a bit more balance with experience or people that are more known than not. And I think that's maybe where the window's slightly better.
Do you think, Jace, you know, in the mind of Kyler Muani, and we'll ask George about this in a second as well, do you think he'll be thinking to himself, despite it only being a straight loan, if I do really, really well here, and please don't take it as a negative, everybody out there listening and watching the show, I can get a higher move than Tottenham? Or is he sitting there thinking, if I play really, really well, I can stay with Tottenham in the Champions League under Thomas Frank? Let's develop the likes of Tony, Watkins, Ben Rama. You know, there's a list of players that Frank has developed in terms of forwards out there, Visser being another one as well. What do you think this motivation move is for Kyler Muani? Is it down to regular first-team football? Is it down to playing under a coach that's going to develop him? What do you think it is?
Well, I think you look at it two ways, can't you? He's been at PSG and they don't want him. And he's been at Juve and he did well there, but for whatever reason, they didn't want him back. So he's had two of what you think of as the giant elite clubs. If he comes to Tottenham, if he was to want to go to another elite club, then he has to perform this season, doesn't he? So he has to score goals, get assists, play lots of game time. So Tottenham benefit that way anyway. If he scores lots of goals, we're getting the benefit. If he scores lots of goals and we get the benefit and we end up in the Champions League, then why wouldn't he want to stay then to be in the Champions League? So, you know, I think it's just a great opportunity. I don't see the downside of it. I'm not worried that there's not an obligation or something like that in it. And you know what? If he really does do the business and he ends up going to wherever, then we've still benefited from it this year if he's got your 20 goals, haven't we? So it's a win-win for us. We either win little or we win big with him, and that's the thing. I don't see the downside of it just because it's not an obligation or a tied deal like that. But for him to attract the interest from the super elite clubs, then he's got to perform for Tottenham.
Yeah, just on that point, George. I mean, what do you think the motivation is in the player's mind? What do you think it is? Because you said it there. You know, he's a player that has been used to playing on the high level. He's, you know, probably sees himself, like Jason said, maybe, dare I say, a step above Tottenham. Macca's saying it as well there. What do you think? What is the aim of the player? What does he want to get out of this loan move? Is it regular first team football? Is it playing in the Premier League? Is it developing under Thomas Frank? What is it for you?
I think he's got the chance to stake a claim in a Premier League team that has Champions League football, because he's probably looking at our situation and realizing, look, yeah, we've got Richarlison and Solanke, but we all know from us watching them that they're made of glass and they can be injured more often than not. And let's be real, as a competitive footballer that has played in the World Cup and in Champions League before, I have absolutely no doubt that he probably sees himself as way better than them, which is what he probably thinks. I could walk into the Spurs team and probably come in as a potential starting striker week in, week out with Champions League football, which I think that's why I have no, begrudging, well, I don't know what the word is, but I don't begrudge him for not choosing us back in January, because let's be real, we were 15th at the time, Europa League versus Juventus, higher up their league and fighting for Champions League football. So of course he wouldn't want to go on a 6-month loan to us over them in that period, but he's got a whole season now of us in the Champions League. He's got a chance, and I believe Frank would have had a conversation with him for sure about how he would use him in the setup, whether that can be out wide, up front. There's going to be a lot of flexibility. I imagine he did the same with Xavi Simons, saying, look, you can be used as a 10, but we can also use you out wide on the left and even right as well, actually. We have a lot of versatility in this team, which is great. Yeah. And I think he just senses an opportunity to really stake a claim in a league that he hasn't been in yet, and is is the biggest league in the world in terms of eyes viewed and money and stuff like that. So, I think you made absolutely brilliant points about the development of strikers that Frank has done already, which is why I'm confident that he can do well, even with younger players like Tel and Odegaard.
Can I just say, I'm sorry, I've got to laugh at this. Can I just say one thing, Jason, before you come back in?
We're just going to say, Rick,
Go on.
Go on. He also has the opportunity to get himself a regular start for France in the World Cup, doesn't he?
Look at that comment. Jason is the most refreshing Tottenham content maker for me. Jason, how do you feel being referred to as a content maker?
Don't.
I love you, mate.
Where are the TikToks?
Yeah, the TikTok. Listen,
no, thanks.
We're going to come back round.
Look, he has a great chance, doesn't he, to guarantee a French start as well. Performs, he gets in the French squad.
Definitely.
Very true.
That's and, when he's up against him a little bit, you're kind of thinking, Tel Odegaard are the under-21 players that could get into the French squad. What a great chance for Muani to turn around to France and say, look, I'm in front of them for Tottenham. They ain't going to leave me out.
Yeah.
So it's a brilliant place for him.
And also, can't forget, look, Champions League football is an offer. He may feel, and in no disrespect to predecessor of Ange, because Ange has gone on and won a trophy, and no matter what you think about Ange Postecoglou, I've said this before, these guys are winners now. That's down to Ange and nobody else. Ange has made this team winners. So at the end of the day, whatever you think about his time at the club, every player that is now a European winner is thanks to Ange Postecoglou, because without him, they wouldn't be European winners. And, at the end of the day, we wouldn't have Champions League football. You maybe wouldn't have got half these players in the summer if it wasn't for Ange. I can say that by not being the most biggest and ardent Ange fan. That's just the reality. Go on, Macca.
I think, it's coming. I think Ange, by this point, in his first season, I think by this point he was picking up the Manager of the Month award, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He was.
8-3-1-3, yeah? Where's Frank's? Hey, against that absolute shocking performance of the weekend team. I know we ain't getting into that tonight.
We're definitely not touching that. We're not touching that.
Rough performance.
Yeah, but maybe it's a good. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe Macca. Maybe it sets expectations too high to go and be unbeaten in 10. Not that I want to lose, but you understand what I'm saying, Macca?
Yeah. We win 2 and then lose a couple. And mate, the ridiculous stat is, that obviously Man City are our bogey team, right? That
quite literally.
Listeners. What I didn't realise is I think we've lost our. I dug the stat out, but it's nine games after the Man City win, we've lost them. Yeah. That's insane. So it means everyone else is our bogey team that plays us.
Or moving forward now, do you just want to take a point against City so we've got a chance to win the following game?
That's actually a crazy stat.
Who are we playing the game before the next international break as well? Because that's a write-off. We haven't won since 2023. Was it November 2023 before the international break?
Crazy.
So
absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
weird,
we
though.
have to look at October. We have to look at October's fixture and see what that looks like. I'm getting worried now, George. I'm still trying to deal with the fact we've got West Ham coming next, and they've now turned things around. Look, we're going to quickly squeeze in our next break of the show for our listeners that are on audio here. Look, we had over 80, 90,000 of you that have been listening and watching us throughout the day. Thank you ever so much for all your incredible support for Last Word on Spurs. And I said nearly over 3 million of you have been listening and watching us in the month of January, which again, testament to the team, testament to obviously all the hard work that goes on behind the scenes that doesn't be seen maybe at times. But I have to say, we've got a real great family unit at Last Word on Spurs, a real great team that make it happen. And now Jason's back because the transfer window's over. He's happier than anyone. And before Jason does come back in there, because I know Jason is keen to come back, and I just got to let people know because people probably wonder.
George, it's Leeds away.
Okay, Leeds away.
It's Leeds away before the next one.
Okay, thanks for that, Jace. Everyone's going to prepare. Now all the Spurs fans that were going to go away to Leeds have now probably changed their mind. But actually, you know what? We'll watch it on the box. I think that will be a Sky Live, that game, because most likely it will be. Let's give on a round at where we are right now, because just to be clear, the market isn't over. Mark Gahey's moved, for those that care about this, Mark Gahey's move to Liverpool has fallen through. There was reportedly late interest. Yeah,
Genuinely?
that's fallen through. That's gone. That's gone. That has fallen through because there was genuine interest from Tottenham in Joe Gomez, which actually never ended up accelerating on deadline day. But he was a target for Spurs. You just wonder again with that. Was that because of the lateness of Gahey maybe falling through? Did that add complications to it? I don't really know. But yeah.
He would have fitted in perfectly, Rick. He's bloody injured.
I think he's only played 13 games last season. That'd be perfect. Add him to the other 7.
That's the other thing, actually. You might have said it before I come on, so forgive me. I know TJ was on.
Yep.
Love you, TJ, mate. One day we'll get back on a show together, to be fair. The defending situation. I mean, we talked about Ake, Kanji. I don't know whether he did move to Inter in the end. What sort of
Akanji went to Inter.
He did go, yeah.
Ake stayed, of course, at Man City. Benjamin Pavard, there was a bid rejected on deadline day.
Wow,
Luka Vuskovic came out and actually said that for him, he was offered the opportunity to stay and play the cup games and play any minutes that Mickey van der Ven and Romero weren't going to play. And he actually said, look, I'm not up to the level. I'd rather just go out on loan and go and play first team football. And apart from that, really, Macca, there's been no other defensive updates. But just so before Macca comes back in there was a deal sheet log for Manos Solomon that is expected to get done. Manos Solomon to Crystal Palace is expected to get done. That will be just a straight loan for Manos Solomon as things stand at the moment. That deal sheet does mean you've got an extra 2 hours to get the deal done. That was put in at 7, so they've got until 9 to get that deal done. So we'll have an update at 9 o'clock as to whether Solomon has been successful in that and will be a Crystal Palace player until the end of the season. They fought off late interest from both Leeds United and FC Porto. Look, one that we don't even know what's happening right now, and we'll try and get you an update on it. Brian Hill, second longest serving player. There was a fee agreed in the earlier part of the day of 8. I know Jason's heard that 15 times now. Jason wants to shut off, but 8.3 million for Brian Hill. We've heard this so many times now. 10 million euros. Even when Brian Hill's going out the door, he's still causing bloody problems. We don't know where Brian Hill is, but we'll let you know if we get an update with regards to Brian Hill. I tell you what now, looking back all those years ago, George, you just wish we kept Lamella. Should we just kept Lamella, George, after all this with bloody Brian Hill?
That was one of the... Go on.
What are you going to say, Jace?
I was just going to say, Dane Scarlett is the second longest serving player.
Oh, so is he second longest? So Brian Hill's the
second
third?
longest is Dane Scarlett. Yeah.
Right, okay. I've been penning that for about 8 hours. Okay, third longest serving player. We need to go back to Macca, but George, quickly, Brian Hill, I mean, look at that now.
The weirdest one ever. And I remember at the time, I say everyone, we were being told that he was the next coming of Messi out of Spain. And
to be fair, they're right. It has been bloody Messi.
Yeah, true. I don't understand how we could allow that to happen. What was it, 20-odd million plus Lamella to then loan him straight back to them for a year, to then just consistently loan him out. And yeah, I think we can safely say this has probably been one of the biggest flops of our Premier League era, to be honest with you. So, look, done is done. If he's gone, he's gone. I just don't. There's no way back in for him, regardless. I imagine we'll rip up the contract if the move for some reason couldn't actually go through this evening. But yeah, just a shame, really.
Yeah. And just to be clear, Basuma, as things stands at the moment, Yves Basuma, he's expected to be getting his move, but that will be later on in the month. That both the Saudi and the Turkish window is still open for another week. So on that basis, you would imagine that yeah, Basuma will end up leaving the club in this next week. Mac, let's circle back round to you. Oh, we're still waiting on these moves. We've got, listen, you were just saying there before the break about the outgoings.
Distracted there. To be fair, my phone's pinging off at the minute. It's got a bit distracted. But yeah, no, yeah, it's weird. Them other moves. I mean, I think if Liverpool sign Gahi, which obviously hasn't gone through, you just said, but if they sign it, I mean, wow, I mean, unbelievable. They've spent a lot of money already. I think. Am I right in saying that 3 players cost 300 million? I mean, did Isak go through?
Isak done.
Wow.
Isak done over 100 million.
Wow.
Vert's done over 100 million.
He didn't leave.
Yeah,
he is off.
Yeah, he didn't go. But
Ekatike.
He's been playing well for him, isn't he?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, they look like they've done good business. I mean, the thing is, the great thing about the transfer window and everything, we all love it, right, and hate it at the same time, is that, you look at Sesko and Buemo and Cunha. Absolute insane business, right? You're looking at them 3 players and thinking, wow, that is insane. That's 180 million, 200 million pounds worth of strike force there.
Yeah.
They've been bloody woeful. Like missing penalties against bloody Grimsby or whatever. You just couldn't make this stuff up, could you? So, it is madness, really, the transfer window. Look, come back to us just quickly. I think our business is decent. We haven't gone, big. We never do, but we've gone decent, and we've signed 65 million pound players, and a few of them to come in. And how much would you pay, for example, for Muani if he was a permanent deal? How much would he be worth?
Let's go to George. George, you must have an idea on that. What would you pay for Muani?
40 million, maybe. He left the PSG for 95 million euros from Frankfurt when he had a stellar season there, but that was a couple of years ago now. That was 2023, I think. And obviously he's been out of favour since then. So I would hazard a guess around 40-ish million pounds.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Exactly.
Interesting. I mean, I say,
transfer. You don't know how much money they're getting paid as well, Rick. As well, that's still always.
I can tell you, Muani. I'd be very surprised. I mean, this might be me speculating about knowledge. I can't imagine Muani would be less than 100 grand a week. I just can't imagine he would be. Do you reckon, George? I mean, do you reckon George?
No.
Saying he won't be less than 100,000.
Especially at PSG, I'd be surprised if he's probably close to 200.
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah. So even from that point, Lee, we said at the start of the show with you, Blesh, and you were saying that point, the fact that even at the wage point. I mean, is that another thing to say here, Lee? Because we haven't seen you since even the Romero re-signing of the contract. I mean, that again is a big thing for Tottenham. Romero signing a new contract, and Muani would not have been cheap wages, nor would Kudus, nor would Xavi Simons. So it does feel like I go back to earlier. Something is changing there. Look, whether it changes in terms of the next 3, 4, 5 windows, we don't know. But certainly, Macca, it does feel there has been a change in terms of the profile of targets the club have gone for, Macca. Is that fair?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, we talked about this very heavily last season. Was it 42% wage revenue to wage ratio? He's okay. Look, 133 grand a week.
133 grand a week. Apparently, reported there.
His gross per week is 174,800 euros.
Okay, so 175 Roscoe, thanks there, George, thanks there. So, you're looking at these numbers. I mean, famously, Kane was on 200 a week, 200 grand days, obviously £200 a week. He probably was as a YTS player.
Well, that's probably why they left. That's probably why he left.
Yes, he probably actually was on. He probably
was on 200 quid a week. That's probably why he wanted to get out of the bloody place.
Yeah. But when you look at the wages, right? There's no coincidence that you look at some of these big names where they go to the clubs that are buying, that are paying the bigger wages. There's no doubt about that. Manchester United can be 16th and without a trophy, Tottenham 17th and with a trophy. Yet Manchester United go and take Mbeumo and Cunha and Sesko because they go for 300 grand a week, or they're close to it. Whereas we're actually fishing in that pond. Even these guys, it was saying 133, 175,000 euros. What's that? About 140 grand a week? That is a Tottenham level, isn't it? To be honest, and they, the big guys don't come with small wages. That is the reality. I mean, famously, it wasn't Jan Vertonghen because he kept signing a new contract, just kept on the same wages for basically his entire Spurs career. And I think he left the club. He was still only on 55 grand a week or something mental, and he was an unbelievable player. So. And I think they are looking at that and changing that as well. I don't ever think, with these 7-year contracts that people sign nowadays, and you can amortize it over that period of time. The actual transfer fee itself. If you've got a 70 million transfer fee, you've got a 7-year contract. You're only shelling out 10 million a year. Now, half the reason why we've got Polina and tell is because we've sold Kane and they probably still ain't paid for him. You know, they've just done a deal backwards. You know, that's why I wasn't being rude to Tell when I said it smells a bit, doesn't it, of Fraser Campbell and Berbatov.
Yeah.
Back in the day. So, you know, there's, you know, you don't really know. You know, we're very lucky on the show, aren't we, Rick, to have a lot of insight, a lot of people, agents, people coming on, like
Adam,
like
Adam,
exactly, like all the guys that we've got coming on to do that sort of thing, and Kieran as well, looking at the football finance stuff. So we do have an insight into it, but there's deals to be done out there, isn't there? And you know, the wages are a massive thing. I mean, Tell's 19. Don't tell me don't tell me that he's coming in there and demanding 200 grand a week, because he's not, because he ain't going to get nowhere near that, and that's why he's attractive to Tottenham.
That is why he's attractive to Tottenham. Also attractive to Tottenham, of course, they've got a deal done for Kolo Muani. We've had Thomas Frank, that is, tell us why Tottenham moved for Kolo Muani and why Tottenham really want to bring him to the club. Let's bring in those quotes from Thomas Frank if we can, who has discussed why Tottenham have moved for Kolo Muani. He said on the signing of Kolo Muani to the end of this season, Randall is a quality player who has proven himself over a number of years playing for big teams in the Champions League and also with good experience for the French national team. He's a good age in the prime of his career, has good qualities that will both suit us and the Premier League, and it gives us a different option in the final third and being able to play out wide and through the middle. We are excited to what Randall can add to the squad, and I'm looking forward to working with him in the future. I mean, Jace, I know you can't really read too much into these comments. Again, it's only a loan to the end of the season, but I asked you that thing earlier. If he does well here, will Tottenham think, you know what, can we go and get this deal done permanently, or do you think PSG... I don't know. Is there a space for him at PSG in 6 months, 12 months' time?
Probably not. All we will be in is if it goes well, we're in the best position to offer him a deal, aren't we? If he's enjoyed his football, he's made an impact in the Premier League, he's got goals to put Tottenham in the Champions League, you're in a fantastic position. If he's a complete flop, then and he wants to go somewhere else, then it's not a problem for us, is it? But if you've given him the opportunity, and as I say, he delivers what we think, and it gets you Champions League football, why the hell does he want to look straight around? So, you know, I don't see a downside to this deal whatsoever. And I mean, I think we're at that era where we've definitely gone for a higher level of player this window. But I've said it for a long time. I think it's really hard for us to get what I call elite level players when you're not quite an elite level club. Whether we think Man United are or not, as they're still Man United. They've still had the Paul of Mbeumo and Cunha, because people think you're still playing for Man United, well-renowned club. So I think people now talking about Gahey, could we go there and get him in January at the end of the season? He's going to go to Liverpool in January or the end of the season. He's not going to choose Tottenham over Liverpool. No way at all. So Manchester City are probably the last team that were in a kind of similar situation when they got all the money in, but they didn't have the history of being an elite club when that project started out. The only way they got the Agueros, the Kolo Tourés at that stage, that were the elite level players. When you looked at it, I think that the average Premier League wage for a player when they signed Aguero was like 50 grand a week. And the top boys were on like 80, 90 grand a week. They offered Aguero 135 grand a week. When it was Kolo Touré, they paid him something like 160 grand a week when the top wages were 100 grand a week. So it's not just matching, because if you match the salaries of the elite clubs, they're still going to choose the elite. So the only way you're going to do those is to absolutely blow the elite clubs out the water. So let's say Eze. Maybe Eze would have chose Tottenham if Spurs had said, here's 320 grand a week, then maybe you'd have had a chance. But all the time we just match the salaries of the others, then they're going to probably choose the other clubs. And even Tottenham, as much as we don't like it, we're not seen as an elite club. I don't think Arsenal are elite, but they're still seen by players as they could win the league. They could win the Champions League. Tottenham aren't seen as that at the moment. And that's our problem. We're getting elite level £100 million players.
I think this is fascinating. I actually think this is fascinating. I agree with everything you say, Jace. You know, you and I are on the same page with this. But I think that one of the things, and I remember being on the Love Sport show probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago, us when we're doing the Love Sport, and we said, look, the problem that you've got is that you turn around and all of a sudden start smashing your wage structure like overnight. You've got a massive queue of 30 players or 25 players on the first team going, hello, Mr. Chairman, where's my pay rise? Where's my pay rise? And next thing you know, your wage bill's gone through. It might be 42% to revenue. It end up being, 92%. And look at Villa in a scenario where I think did they have 91% wage to revenue ratio? I think something like that last year. I definitely do not want to be
96, wasn't it? Yeah, 96.
Worse, 96. Actually, horrendous. Thanks for the graphic, but I don't want to be defending.
Luca Dean is on 150k a week, just for comparison.
Luca Dean. That's mental. That's mental.
So I'm saying, put that into context. Muani's just signed for 140 grand a week. I know it's only a loan, but let's put that into context. We're going to expect that kid. He's 26, right? We're going to expect that guy to go and bang in 20 goals. I think somebody said in the comments. And Luca Dean, what's he going to do? 3 assists? He's on 50 grand a week. So I think it's fascinating, and I think the way that is all structured. And I definitely don't want to be defending Daniel Levy too much, if at all. But when he talks about sustainability and when he talks about sustaining the club and the long-term success of the club, what he's actually talking about there, to a certain degree as well, is being able to afford bigger wages in the future. We never seem to see it, so I'm not defending him. But what I would make a comparison with is Manchester United, 76,000 at Old Trafford, and under Ferguson and their chairman, was it Edwards? They built such an absolute mammoth. Is that a word? An absolute mammoth, just commercial model that just kept rolling in the revenue, which enabled them to be successful at the time, which obviously built. But that means that they can still, even today, and this is mind-blowing, right, for you youngsters out there, Manchester United used to win everything. It sounds so weird, doesn't it? Because it still feels like our era. But Manchester United used to win everything, yeah? They haven't won the league title for 12 seasons. This is Manchester United. Like, what? I mean, to the younger viewers and listeners, they probably think, oh, whatever, it's Chelsea or Man City. But this is Manchester United, right? But they can still, even to this day, it'd be great to know, G, if you know this, George, Brian, and Buemo, whatever, I bet he's on 300 grand a week, or I bet he's on 250. And it's not going to be anything to do with he didn't want to come to Tottenham. He didn't want to come to Tottenham and play under Thomas Frank, who just made him as a player. Of course he didn't. We was offering him 140 grand a week and a skywalk. Whereas he goes to Manchester United and he's on 250 grand a week.
He's actually on 150k a week with 50k bonuses.
Oh, well, there's the bonuses on there. But bought me big down to earth. But yeah, I mean, 200 grand a week then. And he ain't getting out of Spurs, is he? Let's be absolutely frank about it. Let's be Thomas Frank about it.
Very true. I mean, this is the point, isn't it? Where you start looking back at what we've done, and just to let everyone know, we're still waiting on this news about Manor Solomon, whether he is going to be going to Leeds United. That deal sheet has been logged, and people keep asking me about Brian Hill. That Jason's heard Brian Hill about 15 times. we don't know what's going on with Brian Hill. I think Leeds described it earlier, going, or was it George that said it? We thought he was messy. It has become bloody messy. Even in his exit, it's become an absolute mess with Brian Hill. We're still waiting to find out if Brian Hill is going to be a player for Girona. Jace, why have we not heard anything about Brian Hill? What can you put that down to? Do you think it's fallen through? The fact that we have not heard now, and the window's been closed for nearly an hour and 36 minutes.
I don't know, mate. It's probably about 755 players more popular in this transfer window than Brian Hill. Everyone's just forgotten about it. It's hardly going to be earth-shattering news, is it?
But you know what? When he's now, as what you've told us here, you've educated us. Now he's the third serving highest player. This is quite an important deal, isn't it?
I mean, Sky Sports are still talking about Isak and Wissers and players like that, and you're worried you haven't heard about Brian Hill. Get Bridgie on the phone.
Get him in there. Did Wisser go to Newcastle?
Got done. Wisser got done. This is Leeds version of Sky Sports, just checking us on what deals got done. Yeah, it got done.
That's just gone on the internet. Sorry.
It's fine, mate. It's fine. we get anyone? Did we get anyone else? No, we didn't get anyone else.
For example, I mean, George, you're much better at this sort of stuff than me and the viewers and listeners, but Walter Maid? I mean, who is that, right, by the way? I mean, he's done 73 million G's, right? They've done 73 million hard-earned English pounds on this guy. And, I mean, obviously, it doesn't matter because he didn't play for Tottenham, but he's the fourth highest transfer this summer.
You know what's importantly why you bring that up is that Newcastle are a club that arguably we need to get ahead of this season. And that's a really good point, George. I mean, when we compare, and this is really important now, when we compare, like Lee's just said there, what Newcastle have done, what Brighton have done, what Bournemouth have done, what Villa have done, where would you say we are in terms of those teams and what they've done compared to what we've done? Are we ahead of these teams now? Or are we on par with these teams? What would you say when you look at the respective deals they've done this window?
I would say we're definitely ahead of Villa. I think they've had a pretty shambolic window, if I'm being honest with you. It's a lot of last minute loans.
They've kept Morgan Rogers. I'm trying to think.
They have.
Yeah.
But I think they've clearly started the season off slowly and they can't score goals, which is a big issue, which we wouldn't have said that last season with Rodgers and Watkins at the start. I think there was a lot of chatter this summer about Watkins potentially leaving as well. We know he wanted Arsenal back in January. So I don't know if they're maybe just a little bit disjointed. I don't think the Sancho loan deal is going to work out for them. Harvey Elliott, I think, is a good player. I think that adds to the midfield, but I think they were lacking a lot of depth beforehand, especially with, I think, was it Kamara got injured again quite recently? I think he's quite injury prone. I think we're ahead of them. Newcastle, I think, it's a big miss. Isak was phenomenal last year. Really good the year before as well.
Huge.
Wiss, I think, is a good sign. Voltamate, again, look, it's relatively new, but he's effectively supposed to become Germany's next number 9.
Right, okay. So is that okay.
Yeah, in terms of his frame and I guess stature, they're probably replicating Isak in that sense, to be honest. And it feels like they're building the old Crouchy Defoe with Voltamate and Whistler up top. They're building Isak in the aggregate. So there are a couple of good signs. And look, I think Alanga will work well for their transitional football as well. It's just the issue that Newcastle will have. I like him a lot as well.
Yeah, he's a good player.
Very quick. But I think for them, where I'm interested to see is that last time they were in the Champions League, they really, really struggled to handle the fixtures and the intensity of those games twice a week, and ended up it costing them league positions massively. And I think as much as they've signed a couple, like some new players, I don't think they've added a lot of depth to their team. Botman is still extremely injury prone at the back, and I think they've started off with a good defense so far. But the moment they start losing Byrne, the moment they start losing Shaw, I think they've added Thior from AC Milan. Decent signing. I don't think it takes them up a massive level.
So you think, NG, these clubs you're mentioning here, you think the Villas, the Newcastles, we've not really come on to Brighton. I mean, do we even end up having to compare Brighton where we are? But I mean, these teams now, do we look and think, right, in terms of positional wise, we're going to be ahead of these teams. We can be amongst, dare I say, the top 7, the top 6, the top 8. What do you think, G?
Yeah, I think we could definitely be there and above those teams in particular. I still think we're way off the top 4. But I remember I said this on the show a few weeks ago before these signings came in. That gap between the top 4 and the others, I think, is really big, which leaves 5th really open. And
you still feel now for you that we've not shortened that gap from the top 4 or 5 to us. You don't think so? With what we've done this window?
So hard to say because we don't know what our injury situation is going to be like. I think if we're able to keep Van der Ven, Romero, Porro, if we're able to keep that backline fit, we have every chance to compete and be near there. Because I think Simmons, Kudus, Palinha, Muani, these are quality first team signings, which we haven't done for a while. And I'm not even just first team signings, the fact that they're Champions League level signings, like world renowned signings. That's the key difference. So I think they improve us massively, and I do think we close that gap to a degree. The problem is we could so easily just lose Van der Ven, Romero, Porro,
and it changes the whole picture.
Exactly, and it changes the picture completely because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many good attackers we have, because if we're going to keep conceding goals at the back, how can we close that top 4? Do you see what I mean? So I think it's crucial that Frank manages their minutes properly and make sure that they don't get injured.
Go on, Mac, come in, then we'll go to Jason. Go for it, Mac.
Yeah. Because again, I think it's this is why I've missed you lot. I've missed being on here. To be fair, it's just so great.
You might not miss this in a few weeks' time when we're able to dissect
Well,
on what Jason had to
well,
dissect.
I was going to dive into the Bournemouth game just quickly because what George was saying there was quite interesting. And I'm reading some of the comments. Thanks again for everybody putting in the comments and all the well wishes and all the interaction. The fans make it this show, don't they, Rick? You know what I mean?
Well, exactly. I mean, I've got to say that down there on Saturday, the amount of love for the show is remarkable. You know, I did make me laugh though when I was on there. I've got to say very quickly, and you come back in. I was down at the Water Lane coming back to do the show, and they went to me, Rick, do us a favour, will we sign? I said, I ain't got a bloody clue. I said, well, what does Jason know? I said, he ain't got a bloody clue. I said, if there's one man know what's going on, Jason doesn't know what's going on. I tell you, he just wants a bloody thing to end. I can carry on. Carry on.
Yeah, no, I think it's fascinating when you look at you know, the Van der Ven and the Romero and the injuries and all that sort of stuff. Like, I think Thomas Frank is in this scenario where, you know, we didn't have a shot on target for 70 odd minutes against Bournemouth. Now, I know Bournemouth's press was very good, but that's no excuses, right? If we are going to be even a top six side now, if we're going to finish in the top six, you have to beat Bournemouth at home. Now, there's no disrespect to Bournemouth, but that's the reality. You know, I said in the group, and I don't care. You know what I'm like. I tell it how it is. I said, looking at these fixtures, we should 100% get 18 points out of them fixtures. Like, and I wasn't being facetious. And I wasn't.
You're referring to the first six.
Yeah, because after beating Man City, you got Bournemouth, you got West Ham, you got Wolves in there, Leeds in there, whatever. Yeah, I mean, come on, team. You know, if you're sitting there going, oh, you know, we shouldn't. And obviously, the people are going, oh, we won't. Well, they've been proved right, haven't they? Because we lost against Bournemouth at home 1-0. Now, we didn't lose huge amounts of goals because, understandably, you know, Vicario had a great game or whatever. But nice one, Andrew. But the reality is that we conceded 17 shots and something like 7 or 8 on target against us. That is ridiculous. And our attacking side of things, which we've just strengthened everywhere, they didn't function at all. So you look at that game in isolation, but then you look at the Man City game and you think, well, we were brilliant. Tactically, we were excellent. And, you know, yes, we didn't beat them 4-0 like we did last season under a failed manager who won us a trophy as well. But nonetheless, it was a 2-0 victory. And obviously, we've done a professional job against Burnley. And we were, for 80 minutes, excellent against PSG in the Super Cup. So, yeah. When you look at all them things, if you're going to be a top six side, the key thing, and every top manager will say this, we all know this, what the word that's coming, it is consistency. And you cannot go 2 games and then lose 1, or 1 win and then lose 2. You have to be consistent. And Conte, to be fair, boring as it might sound, Conte used to say all the time, if you can't win the game, don't lose it. You know, we should not be losing to Bournemouth.
No, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be.
But Tottenham Hotspur, for some reason, have this in their locker. They have it under Conte, under Mourinho, under Poch, under AVB, under Harry, under now Thomas Frank, under Ange. Every single manager, I ain't putting Nuno in there. Every single manager that we've had.
Well, he weren't long enough to find out.
He weren't long enough, mate. 10 games. You know, every single manager we've had, regardless of the manager, regardless of the squad, regardless of the players, we've got these results in us. And obviously we're Spurs fans, so maybe we are super critical. We look at it. All clubs have this, right? All clubs have these bogey teams. All clubs have these issues. But the reality is, for me, it's just my opinion, so I'm on here. It's really important that we beat teams like Bournemouth at home, because they are the ones that, especially after beating Man City, it's just ridiculous. I mean, a couple of seasons ago under Conte, we beat City and then we lose to Burnley.
I don't know.
Also, very, very quick, because someone made a very good point in the chat there. I think what I like about these signings as well, and I think it was from Jess said it, is that since Kane has left, we haven't had many players that can just get you something out of nothing. Yeah. And I think Xavi Simons is a world-class talent and is someone that can do that. I think Colin Muani is another player that can do that. Obviously, Kudus can on his day, but he can't do it alone. So that's already 3 players in our attacking lineup now that can get you something from nothing, which we haven't had before. And when you're struggling games like Bournemouth, you need those sort of players around you. So hopefully that should improve going forward. And you're right. And I think they also made a point that we haven't really focused on our attacking plays and patterns yet to the maximum. There's one key thing that Brentford scored so many goals last season from, which we've barely seen yet, is crossing from the half space on the edge of the area to 3 players at the back post, all in a line. I promise you, if you start focusing on that, if you see for the next few Spurs games, focus on when we cross from those areas, you'll notice that 3 players, it's usually the striker, whoever the opposite winger is, and the attacking midfielder should be all at the back post in a line. And we scored so many goals from that. And we're yet to see that sort of pattern of play from Spurs yet. And I think that will come with crosses from Porro, from Kudus, from Xavi Simons now that we have in midfield. I think that will come with time.
Do you think he'll play 10, guys? Simmons.
I think he'll play 10. I think he'll play 10.
Muani in there. He's going to pay excuse me, he's going to pay him in off the left, isn't he? Based on his comments, do you think?
I do agree with you, Macca, on that. I do. I'm going to take this question from Mario. Mario says, Rick and the boys, can you give us your rating of the window out of 10? It's an 8 for me. Imagine I love you very much. The thing at the moment is what's really hard to know is that when we're discussing ratings, I think like Jules says there, can you rate the window right now? And we haven't really seen a lot of these players play under Frank. You know, I'm making a judgment on players that really, like now, for example, like Jason put it up earlier, the first window under Ange now, because I've seen it for a year and a half or two, I can give you a decent rating on that window. You know, look at now when you brought in a Doggy, Vicario, Van der Ven. That looks like one of our best windows, doesn't it, really, when you look back at it now? This window here, in terms of the caliber of players that we're buying, yes, it looks good, don't get me wrong. And please no one take this as a negative when I say this. We haven't seen Xavi Simons in the Premier League. You know, he's a good player in the European League. We haven't seen him in the Premier League. You know, Polina, we've seen him in the Premier League. We get an idea of what he's about. We've seen Kudus in the Premier League. We get an idea of what he is like. You know, Kolo Muani's never played Premier League football. So, again, you know, to make a judgment now, really hard to make a judgment, in my opinion. You know, in terms of caliber of player we're signing, you know, what, 7.5, 8, 8.5. I mean, for me, that what would have topped it off? I agree with what Jason said. I'm going to be selfish. I think, you know, definitely having another fullback, you know, arguably was what we needed. I still think for me, and Jason might disagree with this, I know he's going to put his head in his hands and say this. I still think when I look at our forward line,
Adama Traore.
Well, that's interesting. Did that move get done? Because I heard late on that Forest went in for him. Did it get done? Did it get done Adam tonight? Did that get done Adam Traore? Did it get done? Did it get done that, George? Do you know if it got done? Did it get done Adama Traore? We'll find it out. We'll find it out. Baby oil, as Jason used to call it, or I think he's called it other names. We can't say it on this show. But I think at the moment, really hard to make a judgment. I want to sit here in 6 months and say it's been a successful window. But I honestly don't know. I mean, Jason, are you in the same camp as that? Can you call it in terms of the rating of a window for you?
Not really. And I still think we're partly rating the window. You've got to look at who's left.
Yeah, we're still waiting for that. We're still waiting here.
But even if Gill and Solomon have gone, the two we wanted to go, if you've ended up with more players in, like I say, you got a European squad where we've got about 3 or 4 players too many. Bissouma's one that's got to go, and I'm not convinced Bissouma will go because
you don't think he's even going to go even in the Turkish or the Saudi window. You don't think, Jason?
No, because I think the part of Bissouma's thing, isn't it, is that he's only got to do 1 more year to get British citizenship.
That's correct, but someone from Britain's got to want to take him.
So, you know, if he's only got a year to go, and if you think about it, it's the 1st of September. The transfer window opens on the 1st of January. He's only got to sit around for 4 months, and he can get another move. Then he's only got 6 months left on his contract. He could move to a West Ham or something like that for £5 million. We'll take anything in Jack. So he's only got to sit there for 4 months. Then he's still in the UK, isn't he?
Yes, he is. He is indeed.
And he's still being paid his Tottenham wage.
Yep.
And he'll probably still be registered for the Premier League squad.
Yep.
It won't be for Europe. So he might still get games. He might still play against Doncaster in the Cup and things like that. So I'm not convinced. I don't think Bissouma's going to jump at a move to Turkey just for the sake of playing 4 months football.
The thing is, I'm on that, Macca, to bring you in. Yeah. You're all about reliability and, I mean, even so, timekeeping. I mean, how much that worry you? Bissouma, he's had 3 or 4 different managers, and each one of them.
It don't worry you, Rick. That's for certain.
I'm used to being late. It's fine. Late
word on Spurs, isn't it? What's going on?
Yeah, but we'll still turn up. It still keeps me suspended. But hold on, I'm not being paid £80,000 a week to do this.
No, that's true, mate. That's true. No, look, I think the timekeeping thing is, it's been an issue for him. It's not a timekeeping thing; it's an attitude thing, isn't it? Let's be absolutely fair. I actually think he's one of the most disappointing signings that we had. I remember I was in London. I was going to a meeting in town, and is it Gary Jacobs broke the news, didn't he? I think he had the exclusive.
20, was it 25 million, 50? Was it now 25
Spurs
million?
had
Was
done
it?
the deal for 20 for Basuma, and I was like, what? I couldn't get my head around it. I was like, where did that come from? No one had a clue it was going to happen. Brilliant signing, all of the, to the Arsenal and all that sort of stuff. Do you remember when he was playing for Brighton? And I just thought he was exactly the type of player that we needed. And he's just been, and he was excellent for the first 10 games of the first season of Ange. And then he got sent off at Luton. And literally, he has never been the same. What I would say, to give him credit, because I've got nothing down on the guy, other than I'm just disappointed he hasn't worked out. But he did play really well in the latter stages of our Europa Cup League win last season. He was
Bilbao.
important.
He was brilliant in Bilbao.
He was important, and a couple of games before that as well in that cup run. So and there you see Sonny and all the legends that they are lifting the trophy, which was it's crazy, isn't it? Just to think that's only just over 3 months ago. It's not even that long ago, and it's already forgotten. We've been starving for a trophy for 17 years. And most people in the comments, us, the panel, the WhatsApp groups, Twitter, social media, whatever, we've just forgotten. And it was like literally, from a sporting perspective, it was the best week of our lives, in recent times for Tottenham. And it just gets forgotten with this garbage of a transfer window and everything that goes on. It's just mental, isn't it? Really, if you think about it, the whole game is about glory. The game is about winning. The game is about going abroad, going to games, seeing your mates, seeing your crew. That's what it's about. And it's like that was exactly what that week was like. It was absolutely insane. So good.
To end. I mean, that parade was
everyone. Don't forget, because it was just so good. And we are champions of Europe, and we can sing that every game we go to. You don't probably want to be singing that when Bournemouth have probably got 3,000 fans in the other end saying, "What, champions of who?" Yeah, because they're beating us at home. But
you're having a laugh. You're having a laugh. Well, it was Brighton fans, wasn't it? We had that. I was coming down off that week with the parade with Jason, and I thought, what have I let myself in for? I was sitting there in the Omen, and you got Brighton fans going to your champions of Europe. You're having a laugh as they put the full goal in. I'm thinking, God, this could be a long summer. But no, it was. You know what? Amazing week though. Amazing week. Go on, Jason.
The other thing with Bissouma, he goes to African Cup of Nations as well in December. So really, he's only got to sit around and play the odd game for 3 months.
He'll love that then, won't he?
Perfect, isn't it? Perfect. Plays one or two games a month for 3 months. He goes to the African Cup of Nations. So I don't see why he's going to take a move to Turkey or somewhere like that just for the sake of it when he can do it all again in January.
Is there a risk though, Jay? He doesn't even get into the Mali squad when he's not playing because he's been dropped from there before.
I'd be surprised if he's dropped from the African Cup of Nations squad if he's playing the odd game here and there. I'd be surprised.
Look, we're coming to that time when we need to get another update, and we've got Darren Hart in the back room in casting, getting his makeup done, and George Achillia is going out the other way. George has been with us for a lot of this window. The wonderful George Achillia. George has been with us. He's been with us, George. 8 years since he's Jason, you're in for the late shift. This is what you get for dodging the window earlier. You're staying. You're not going anywhere. You're staying. You're not leaving. You're staying. George Achillia's going, but Jason is staying. This is what Jason gets for getting out of the 8 windows of the window being open. You can stay for another hour. It's shutting. You can. George, you've been a superstar. You've been with us for 8 years on this show. You've seen obviously a lot of players come, players go. Look, G, you're going to be with us for a lot of obviously the after-match reactions to the Champions League games. Bless you, you're going home and away, and of course in the Premier League as well. G, what do you think now on the base of this window? We spoke about it earlier. I asked you about the clubs that Spurs will be in and around and what they've done compared to the Newcastles, the Villas of the Premier League. What for you now is a minimum expectation? I'm going to ask the boys as well when Dow comes on. What's the expectation for this season in terms of a season expectation now this window's come to an end and now you know what we've got to work with?
I think we need to get past league phase of Champions League. I think for me, that's a given, to be honest with you, with the amount of teams that get through. I mean, as much as I'd love it to be top 8, doesn't have to be top 8. We just need to get through to the knockouts. I think for me, that 5th or 6th spot, I think Jason said that earlier, 5th or 6th spot, I mean, obviously ideally 5th because it's looking most likely that England will probably get it again for Champions League the following year. I think we really, really need to be in that position again. I'm hoping that 17th was an absolute blip and that will never happen again. And I really do think we have to aim for those positions, because if we're not aiming for them, then what's the point? Do you know what I mean? Especially with these quality signings we brought in. So I think those for me are like a given. And look, same as anyone else. You would just love another trophy, wouldn't you? But
yes.
I don't think we're not at the point where we can go and try and win the League Cup, go and try and win the FA Cup, and try and go for top 4 and try and do well in the Champions League. So look, League Cup is literally only a few games away before you're at the final.
I know. Don't get me started on the League Cup, George. You know, Jason's got to normally call me down after the League Cup. I've been trying to calm him down after the Super Cup. He's still raging. We're not going there.
For me, League Cup is so early in the season. It'll be nice to be able to get just like another trophy over the line, especially when you only play about 4 games to get there. So I think for me that would be nice. But we are coming up against some giants like Liverpool, and just pray that they get knocked out by someone random at some point on the way through.
I tell you what,
surely we've got to go Champions League. You won Europa last year. And a rubbish manager. This manager's
I will take 17th again if it means winning the Champions League. So let's do it.
17th in the Champions League. Raise your hands if you're up for that team.
I can't. I'm not sure I can do 23, 22 league defeats. What I will say to Jason's point, Jace, I promise you this. If we go to Doncaster, I'll be as angry as you for us throwing the Super Cup. I promise you I will be. Look, George, you've been a superstar. Thank you so much, George. Be back with us throughout the season. We'll see him in a couple of weeks' time. Let's get George to lay down.
Thank you.
As we let G go, the Heart Man is on his way in. He's going through casting and makeup. As we do that, let's give you a quick roundup of what is happening right now in this transfer window, where still we are waiting on deals to be done. Look, we've got still with us. We've got about 40,000 watching us right now live. We've had over 100. We've had 100,000 that have watched this show from 9:30 in the morning till now, which is quite simply remarkable in itself. We can't thank you enough for the support for the show, guys. Like I said, if you can keep liking, keep subscribing, that would be greatly appreciated. Like I said, the support has been absolutely overwhelming for this show. Let's give you an update of what is happening right now in the market. One man we know is a Tottenham Hotspur player, is Kolo Muani. Done deal. He is signed to the end of the season, June 2026. He takes the number 39 shirt. Anthony Costa somewhere is having shivers about that. 39? Yes, 39. Sorry,
Costa, 39? You can't be serious, Rick.
We are. He's 39. One player that I feel like I've aged. I feel like he's aged 39 since we showed his last picture is Brian Hill. He looks 16 here, but Brian Hill is still waiting. Brian Hill is still waiting to find out if he's got his move to Girona on this final day of the transfer window. For those that weren't aware, about 10:30 this morning, or 11:30 now, forgive me, I've lost track of time, there was a fee agreed between Tottenham and Girona for 8.3 million for Brian Hill. And since then, either Girona have done a runner or Brian Hill has gone missing. So we're not quite sure what one it is. Mako, who is it? Is it Brian or is it the club that have done a runner?
I think it's Brian, mate. Girona. He's got a way to go, does he? Stick it on the podcast. Stick it on the Spotify. Get it on the gram.
I tell you. So listen, we're waiting on updates. So whether Brian Hill is going to be a Tottenham player or is going to Girona. Can I just say, Jason has heard about Brian Hill more on this show than he's heard about Isak and he's heard about Vissa. And I can tell you, in the background, Jason's thinking, "Can I really do another hour of this?" Yes, he can. He's
starting against Doncaster, lads. Don't worry about that.
Well, Jason, I think, has left the room. He's gone probably for a lay down, I'll be honest with you. Manor Solomon is expected to be completing his move to Crystal Palace. Jason's crawling. Can I show this? Hold on. No, he's gone. I just want to quickly show you Jason's reaction to this transfer window.
He's gone. He's literally.
The lights are out. The lights are out. The lights are out. Heartman's in casting. We're bringing Heartman through in a minute. But Manor Solomon, the deal sheet has been submitted for Manor Solomon. And we're waiting to find out if he's going to be, like I say, a Crystal Palace player. That's going to be a straight loan deal as things stands with Manor Solomon. There's no option to buy the same way with Kolo Muani. No option to buy, no obligation to buy. What does that mean for Tottenham? Well, look, let's talk you through quickly before Dale comes into the show here, what Spurs have done in terms of ins and outs this window. They spent at the start, or however you want to do it alphabetically wise, they splashed 55 million on Mohamed Kudus. That's what they paid for Mohamed Kudus to get in through the door from West Ham. They then, obviously, if you look at the fees going upwards to then lowest what we spent, 51.8 million on Xavi Simons. That, of course, done deal. He's through the door. Tottenham decided in the summer. I know, again, this has been controversial. Not everyone's liked it or enjoyed it. But Tottenham did spend 30 million on Matisse Tell. 30 million on Matisse Tell following that loan from last season. João Palhinha also came through the door. There's a 29.8 million buy option on João Palhinha. So if that loan is successful, then, of course, Tottenham will probably take that up. And that is what it will be. Kolo Muani, Spurs have spent 4.3 million on the loan fee for Kolo Muani. So it's not come, without a cost. It's come at that price. And also, we can't forget him right now, although some have said he's been forgettable on this show. Tottenham have also signed Kota Takai, currently out injured, at 5 million fee for Kota Takai. Nominal fee, of course, but yeah, he also has come through the door. In terms of who went out, obviously, the biggest, the high-profile departure, and the one with the highest fee, it had to be Heung-Min Son. Heung-Min Son, LAFC, £20 million.
Look at it.
Now, we're obviously going on the fact that this will get done. Bryan Hill, if it does get done, like I've said, it will be 8.6 million back in the coffers if Bryan Hill does end up at Girona, where at the moment, like I say, we're still waiting confirmation if that deal is done. So, yeah. Go on, Macca.
I was going to say, I'm sorry to interrupt. Have you finished your transfer around?
Well, and Josh Keeley has left the club for 1 million.
Yeah. Okay, great. I was just going to say, earlier that we was rating the transfer window. It'd be great to get some people rating the transfer window in the comments. So feel free.
Should we get them in? Okay, let's do it now. Everyone in the comments, like Lee said there, give us your rating of the window. Jason's gone and bought himself a new jug of water.
Can you everyone get in the off the screen, Rick? Because it's like all I'm doing is staring at the geezer's hair.
Heartman's through cars at the moment, but like I say, at the moment,
get them in the comments. I've got a couple here. So on the other WhatsApp group, the lads. So big up the season ticket holders group on the WhatsApp. You got Steph, you got Crouchy, you got Mike, you got Colsey, you got Dave, and you got Nick Martin. My boys, and they've been rating it, Rick. They're watching the show now live. They're saying, "Hey, can we rate it?" It was like, "Go on, we'll get in the comments, lads." But on the WhatsApp, so Steph's going 8 out of 10. And let me tell you something, Steph. That's very, very positive from Steph. Very positive. Normally that would have been a 6 on that side.
He's bought into Frank Ball. Is he bought into Daniel Levy and exchanging? Which one is it, Macca?
No, definitely Frank Ball, mate. I don't think he'd ever be bought into the Daniel Levy change model. But as we both know, as we all know, it's not Daniel Levy change. It's just a change model. We'll just see when Daniel Levy isn't part of that sentence. Crouchy, Paul Hopkins, he's given it a 7 out of 10. Mike Ruddle, these are season ticket holders, by the way. They'll go into the south. They'll sit up with us. 7.5 out of 10. So he's agreeing with you, Rick. And the other boys, they're either not watching, which is absolutely terrible, isn't it, Rick? If they're not watching the show.
Well, find them for that and get them off the bloody show.
Exactly. Or they can't be bothered to rate the transfer window. But like Jace, to be fair. But I mean, we didn't finish ours off actually earlier. My rating's probably about the same. I do agree with Jace. Sometimes you've got to kind of rate what's going out as well as what's coming in. But because we've had them 4, and it's not even arguably, are they? They are first team signings. 4 players are first team signings. So I'm going to give it. I'm going to be generous. I think I'm going to give it I'm going to give it a 7.5. I think I agree with you actually, Rick. 7.5 out of 10. Touching upon it.
Macca, what? Just have interest. What would have upped it to a 9? Or an 8.5.
Yeah, the lads are saying the same thing. A fullback. They agree with you. They agree with Jace. A fullback. Crouchy and Mike both said a fullback. I think, left-sided centre-back, stroke fullback. I mean, Doggy, I know he's training in that again now, but again, I'm not sure whether he's a quality player. I absolutely love him, right? But he's been dogged, excuse the pun, but he's been dogged with injury since he started at the club, really. And then, Porro, touch wood, I'm not jinxing this, but Porro's been brilliant. I think he played more minutes than anyone else last season in a Tottenham shirt, if I'm correct. And Jed Spence has actually been very, very blimey. I didn't notice that. Look, his hair looks different. Jed Spence, he's been brilliant, I think, since coming in. He's, you know, but bearing in mind he's an orthodox right back, not a left back. He's been playing well, but you do, and I don't mean disrespectfully to Ben Davis, but Ben, you know, you are relying on Ben, and can you rely on him? He's dependable, as you always say, Rick, isn't he? Dependable, reliable, but is he in a scenario where you're playing now Champions League football, you're playing Premier League football? None of us want 17th again. You know, it's, you know, I don't know. Can he do a job? We'll have to wait and see. But
okay.
I would have liked that. I think bringing in Colin Muani today, I think that it's stopped the left wing scenario, because I think he's going to play in from the left. I think you know. I think I read this out the other day in the group. Simmons has played half of his games, like 48% of his games last season was played from the left. So he can play on the left as well and interchange. So even though I think he will play him as an 8 or as a 10, sorry, Kudos can play as a 10 as well, for, you know, not just outside the wing. So he's going to do that interchangeable thing, isn't he? So I think we're covered up there. I'd have liked another defensive player.
Okay, let's go to you, Jace. I mean, let's get your view before we bring the Heart man in. Can I just say, I said that joke earlier. The window don't close till Jason McGovern shuts it. Can I just say, the party ain't over until the Heart man comes off the decks. And that's why the Heart man's going to close the party and close us all off here on the decks. Jace, rating of the win. Don't look so disappointed. Look at Jason's face. Sorry, this is an audio. He looked so disappointed when I said that. Jason, when you get to know Jason, he's a lovable rogue.
I rate the window 10 because it's fucking shut. When it was open, it was a 1. Now it's shut, it's a 10.
Oh, I tell you, he can't wait for January, by the way.
I just want to say thank you to a few of the boys out in Spurs, Thailand. I've got my Europa League winners medal.
There you go. Proudly on.
Perfect. Got me medal from the final.
Fantastic. We're waiting for that. Listen, like I say, big thanks to those Spurs Tylo. They looked after Jason well out there. And I can just keep saying this. Whenever you see Jason on a match day, please keep asking Jason for pictures, all right? He loves pictures. Make sure you go up to Jason. Please ask him for pictures. And make sure when you go up to him, put your arm around him and make sure you don't let go until the person that takes the picture takes it at least 4 or 5 times, either landscape or portrait. And Jason, like I say, loves it. So, guys, thank you so much. Can I just say again, you know, the amount of love we've had, I mean, honestly here, quite simply amazing. Shadow Half, too kind with donations. God, best Spurs channel by far. Appreciate you all. Max effort, Ricky. I've got to say, the amount of love for this show is amazing. You know, I've got to say, this last month or so, I know the transfer window does send people insane, but, I say this so many times. We are so lucky, and you guys know it from being in the WhatsApp chats. We've got such an amazing cast behind Last Word on Spurs. It isn't just one person. We've now got a team of about 30, 40. Marlon, bless him's on holiday with 4 kids. I think Marlon, when he comes back, will have aged about 50, about 80. Because Marlon really last said to me, I wish I was with you on deadline day. So you can imagine what's going on where we're abroad at the moment, chasing 4 kids around the pool. But we said, Marlon, love. We had Ash on here earlier. That if you missed Ash earlier, Ash said that there is ways of Basuma getting around the UK citizenship, but he couldn't say it on this show for legal reasons with Ash, based on his background with Nigeria. But we couldn't say it on this show, but there is ways of Basuma getting around those loopholes, but we can't say it on this show. And Hartman seems to be nodding away there. Hartman seems to know as well. So, feel free to contact Hartman or Ash. Or we haven't brought on Shatty Patty, bless him. But like I say, we'll find a way. But listen, the support for this show has been amazing. You've been amazing. Keep liking, keep subscribing. Let's bring in Darren Hart. He talking Tottenham as well. Can I just say, I know a lot of our Last Word on Spurs listeners are really loving Dow in a lovely set with Ricky J. Norwood there. A lot more calmer your ones than our ones, Dow, when you turn up on time, didn't you?
Listen, I told you I'm here to be calm. I'm here to help tonight. I bring the peace. That's the vibe I'm bringing, always. Good to see everyone, though. Good to see everybody.
I tell you. Everyone's saying they're refusing to leave here until they know whether Brian Hill has left the football club. So at this rate, we could be here till midnight, Jay. So strap in, get that overnight bag. We're waiting to find out. And we're also waiting to find out as well if Manos Solomon is going to be a Tottenham player or not, or if he's gone to Crystal Palace. So, Down, let's come to you. And I've not forgot, Macca, we're going to bring it on to Elite Retreat very, very soon. We're going to come on to that very, very soon, Macca. We're getting exclusive from you about what that's about. We definitely are during this show. But Heartman, I come to you. Window over. Jason's happier. Some of us are sadder. what do you make of the window and where we've left ourselves in terms of what options that have come in?
Well, I'm with Jace. I'm happy it's closed because I don't get involved in the speculation because I've too much PTSD.
Hold on a second.
Yep.
In that little WhatsApp chat, we've seen you making some remarks about players coming in and out. Don't give me that.
Hold on. Go back and check. My receipts are clean. I just smile at certain
things. You've not made one comment on a player? None?
Nope. You go check the receipts. There's not one on me. There's not one. And I'll wait for you to find it. I'll wait for you to find it.
Okay.
So for me, I'm at a place where the PTSD kicks in. So unless they're holding a shirt, I don't celebrate it because I'm a performer, as everyone knows. I'm an actor. I'm used to this lifestyle where people promise you something and then it disappears. So until it's on paper, I'm not celebrating. So I stay in that camp. So this has been a calmer window for me. I've had to deal with other people's emotions going crazy, but I've stayed pretty calm in it. And I've been impressed with what's come in. We're used to windows, as we highlighted earlier. I've been tapping in and out throughout the day. It's been amazing work, gentlemen, to everyone who's been involved. Brilliant. And I've seen that you made a really good point, Rick, about when you look at the window that Ange had now.
I'm glad you found one in the last. I've actually found one in the last 9.5 hours.
I got you. Jace fed it well. There's been.
Jace said it well. It weren't me. It was Jace.
Yeah, I'm doing you both. Max, I've got you in a minute. And I think when you look at it now, those players, how much they've evolved, how much the team has grown. You look at that window and go, that was great business. And I think what we're used to seeing with Spurs is a lot of the money going on potential. And I think this window, the money has been put on the now, the readiness of these players, knowing that they've got Premier League experience, bar obviously the man on the screen right now and this man. We've got two individuals that are a bit more of a wild card, but we've shopped in, I wouldn't say we've shopped in Waitrose, but we're shopped in M&S this time. We haven't gone Tesco's and Sainsbury's. We've tried to go M&S and we've tried to compete. And I think that's good to see us trying to compete. We may not do as Jay said about the wages, where we don't push it to go, all right, we'll guarantee we'll get you because we're going to throw the wages at you. We stay within our means in there, but we're trying to punch harder. And I think that was good to see. Being linked with players like that is also exciting for some fan base. I try and not get into that. But I think what we have through the door, window closed, that's a pretty good window on paper. There's a lot of areas that were weak that have been addressed. There's no left back. I know a lot of people are still looking for it. But obviously, with the system that we have, players will be manipulated to that side. But it gives us strength. The big thing was a 6. We have one. Cover up front. We have one. We have multiple options on the left side. We've got that. So I'm interested to see where this goes. And let's not look down on Adanzo. There's also that. His long throw, his commitment. I've already seen someone who is loving life at Tottenham. And I think with his passion, his will to win, his drive, and he will improve. He may be a player that we're talking about in 2 seasons' time going, do you remember when we got him and we was all skeptical of what this guy was about and why we spent money on him? It could be one that really turns all our heads and become a Michael Dawson type player that we love for him playing with his heart on his sleeve and giving it all for our club. So yeah, I'm in a good place right now.
Okay. Listen, I mean, we know Hartman's positive, but I know as well, Bilal, you'd also tell us if you weren't obviously in favour of what we've done. I know you'd be realistic
100%.
about it and say to us if you weren't sure. Maka, load of people, got to say, it's been, since you asked them to, hundreds of people putting in their ratings of the window so far. It's hard to obviously get a gauge, but the feeling I would say is a kind of rough average. I'd say it's sitting between kind of 7 to 8.5. Is that fair?
Probably about what I've been looking for. There's a few low ones in there, and that's right. Again, when you add in the scenario around players going out as well, Dow, you're giving it a 7. There's a lot of 7s in there. Give some of these shout outs, lots of 7.5s. Nick's giving it a 6.5. We've got in there, Nick's giving it, a 6 out of 10. UK Junglist, yes, UK Junglist, massive. Let's go. That's giving it an 8. Alex is giving it an 8 out of 10.
Is that Jason's ally name, that one?
Yeah, I think Jason's just put that one in. Yeah, the old Junglist massive. Andrew Page, good friend of the show. Obviously, he's doing an 8.5 in there. Sandeep's doing 7.5. Loads in there. Thank you so much. Marco Benarico, 7 out of 10. 7.5 for Rudy Monroe, out of 10. So there's a lot of 8.5. There's a lot of 8.5s, Luke 8s. Lots to, so I think when you gauge that, you're probably looking at about, on an average, you're probably thinking it's about 7.5. That feels about right, doesn't it, Ricks? What you said. They're copying you, Rick, the host.
Nah, listen, I mean, someone's got to talk some sense on it. Take the 9 off. Take the 9 off.
All right,
Take the 9 off 5
don't push
hours.
your luck, fella. Don't push your luck. Yeah, no. So I think, look, I mean, I think there's a positivity, like Dal was just saying before. I think there was a positivity around it, and as Jay said, like Jay's always talks sense, like we all do. Like, the reality is, we ain't seen them play yet, but on paper, football's not played on paper, but on paper, based on their previous. I mean, if that Muani can come in and do 8 goals in 16 games in Serie A, and we can get a tune out of him like that with Spurs. You're going to get 8 to 10 goals out of him over a season, maybe more. And then you're looking at Solanke dropping in. You're looking at Richarlison dropping in. You're looking at, Kudos with the 1s and 2s on the side. Johnson back post. Johnson again. It just can't be turning up like it was at Bournemouth. Like it can't be, because the attack was blunt. It was useless, and it just didn't gel. But when it does gel, it could be, it could be good. I mean, George hit nail on the head for me, and I think some people said it in the comments. Xavi Simons is the guy that maybe can drop a shoulder and pull something out of the bag that we haven't got, or that bit of magic that we've been missing. Does that make sense? Maddison gets a lot of stick sometimes from some of us Spurs fans, but I think I do think he's magic, and I think that he has got that in his locker, and we've missed that. That somebody to unlock. Is it a lock picker? Rick, it can't be another lock picker we needed, is it? Not another lock picker.
Do you know what? It's funny. You go back to those days of, the Ericsson days when we did Love Sport about the lock picker. We were searching for the lock picker. I tell you what, Mac, here's a question for you. Jordan Hussein, who loves you, and you know that. Jordan says, Lee, do you think this window was more about opportunity rather than planning? What do you reckon, Mac? That's a great question, that. And you look at what we've done. Great question.
It's a great question. Look, what I would say, Jordan, and to everyone else, is that I know there is a struggle behind closed doors at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, and I know it's hard for everybody to believe, and so on and so forth, and hasn't happened. And Mackie, you were wrong, but just because it hasn't happened yet, it doesn't mean to say that it's not happening. There's definitely been a change in the way that we are have money or funds available. It's definitely been a change in personnel, in terms of decision making, and there's definitely a change afoot within the boardroom. We've already seen that. So I think to answer Jordan's question around kind of, is it planned or is it opportunistic? I think there's been a struggle. It's just based on information. I think there's been it's not just cut and dry that everyone's on the same page and everyone's going for the same thing. I do, look, Vinay's come in. He's a new guy. He's got fresh ideas. He's got new ideas. I mean, even the way he's looking right now at Daniel Levy, I mean, that's not with love and affection, is it? I don't know. It could be, to be fair.
I'm not sure what's going on.
I'm being naughty, yeah. But no, I mean, so at the end of the day, I think that there is more than meets the eye, and also probably some of them were planned. But like Jay said earlier, we can't get some of these players over the line, and it does feel a bit embarrassing. I mean, the Eze situation was embarrassing. Like, do we have a go at the club? I mean, look, I don't want to stick up for the board. You know my views on them now, but do we have a go at the board for trying to get Eze and not succeeding? Or would it have been better not to try at all, and then we can just have a go at them for not trying at all? So but that said, they had them there for 7 days. They could have done something more, but we may never know this. But maybe Eze was stalling because he wanted to wait for Arsenal, maybe, and now we know that he's Arsenal and he wanted them, and so on and so forth. So who knows? But I think that there's definitely, I mean, what do you think, lads, viewers and listeners? Put it in the comments. Do you think there's been a change of the way we're operating slightly? And even more than slightly, I do think there's a change. There's no doubt about it. And that has not come from the normal regime at Tottenham. There's no way it has.
I'll go to Jason second. I want to go to Dow on this, Dow, because I know you're very passionate about people that want to play for the football club, and that being really the first fundamental of anything. Thomas Frank came out and said a couple of weeks ago, I don't want any players that don't want to come to us as a club and play for this fantastic badge. Your thoughts, Dow, because we've seen moves full respectively for obviously Gibbs, Wyatt, which I think I said before. I think that was really to some degree maybe out of the club's control. My frustration about the Eze deal for me was they had 7 days to go at the Eze deal, and in those 7 days, didn't get it done. Now, look, I did that interview on TalkSport at the time, which I know people at the time were thanking me for, but obviously in those kind of 48 hours after that, there was that suggestion, like Macca said there, that Eze apparently at the 11th hour called around to his England teammates and basically tried to initiate Arsenal putting a bid in, which, to be fair for us, doesn't sit with the right taste in our mouth. You know, you want players that are going to be here. Dal, what's your feelings on that? You know, how important is it getting the right characters in that want to play for the club, as much as balancing that with quality players before we bring Jason on this point?
Oh, it's massive because, as I said, no, we don't want no dickheads in there. You know what I mean? There's an idea of the kind of caliber of player you want, and you've got to think about the nucleus of your team as well. If you've got a player who everyone sees is purely here for money, Jace, you made an interesting point talking about wages. If you offer them the big money, like Man City did, to build their legacy and to build the empire they have now, you get those players through the door. And I think you've got to look at what you do in these scenarios. I think Tottenham made a standpoint for themselves of how they wanted to do business, and they tried to stick to those margins that they created for themselves. But I think Macas is right. They were trying. And I think with the Eze deal, it's one that you look at and go, it was frustrating to hear we were so close. But with the deal being so close, you understand that that's when it's the players' time. We've done the finances. He's agreed to the deal. Now we're looking at what he wants. He didn't want to be at Tottenham. He wanted to leave Crystal Palace. That was very clear. He wanted Champions League football, which Tottenham offered him. But the opportunity that was there to play for Tottenham, his head was still looking to go the other way. And he got the opportunity to do that. He made it happen. So we let him go. We said goodbye. And I think that's part of the learning curve for Spurs. And I think that's where some of the due diligence comes in and your background checks to go, do you want what Tottenham's about, or do you want the money in the Champions League? Is that what you're here for? And I think Eze is one that you look at. I think for us, yes, it was sad to not get him as a player, but I think if his mentality was, I don't really want to be here, you're not getting 100% out of him. And if we end up with a player like a Easuma now, who is here, who is not given 100% anymore, and we're kind of stuck in a bit of a limbo with those players. And I think that's why that due diligence, what a word, is so important that the team are doing. And I think they are starting to do it better. Morgan Gibbs White was through the door. We've got to look at that. That deal was a player who wanted to leave. We don't know if he's okay. I can
also tell you, I'm not sure I should tell you this, but apparently he even went as far as having his photo shoot done at Spurs, I was told.
Ricky, we know through what we know that all I pray right now is that Morgan is okay. It's a fair point. It feels hostage-like. I just hope he's okay.
Well, also on that point, I can tell you from being with a Greek wife for the last 15 years, we're never okay. We're never okay. My suitcase is being packed. It is ready to go. I am out of here.
Pack your stuff, Naz. Come on. Get him out.
We're going to go to Jason at this point, and we've got a big break-in development on the Manos Solomon situation. Let's go to Jason first to answer that question. Jason, for you, about the fact of the players playing for the club and getting the right profiles in. We had this debate, me and you, last week about going backwards and forwards on it. The Eze situation. You look back at it now we're at the end of the window. Thoughts on it?
I think with Eze, there's various parts of it that we've jumped on. I mean, there's a bit that says Arsenal got a deal done in 5 minutes type of thing, but yet they agreed personal terms with Eze before even Tottenham went to Palace. So if they agreed personal terms as like the 1st of August, they didn't sign until, what was it, the 18th of August, how is that 5 minutes? That's the first part of it. The second part of it is we think we had a free run at him for a week, but if we'd have agreed with Palace in 24 hours, do you not think Eze would have made that call in 24 hours to Arsenal? So we don't know that, do we? And then to just say, Tottenham spent ages trying to agree a fee and then Arsenal were able to do it. I mean, the part of that is that once Tottenham had agreed a fee, then all Arsenal had to do was match it, wasn't it? They didn't have to renegotiate a fee because Palace had agreed the fee. So it was then simply a case of, that's the price. All we've got to do is match it. So there was no renegotiation. So it was a lot easier for Palace to come in on the end of it, for them to come in on the end of it and do it quickly, because they'd already agreed personal terms with him pretty much a month before. And now they knew exactly what the terms of the deal with Palace were. So I think you can spin it a lot of ways. Just look at his face when he walked out the Emirates. He was delighted to be there, wasn't he?
Yeah. And I think,
So-
George, on that point, I think we've
Like
got
I say,
closure.
I think if we'd have done it quicker, he'd have made that same phone call.
Yeah.
100%.
I did it on that point as well. I will just say this: the minute I saw him in an Arsenal shirt, I got all the closure I needed. It was done. It was over. And it's finished. Yeah. Look,
It's such a shame. Just quickly on that, though, it's just such a shame, isn't it? Because we had tracked him for probably a couple of years, probably longer than that.
Macca, this goes back to Macca. He goes back to QPR days.
QPR, yeah. John, Lily White Rose, and Jamie Bailey Hotspur were chatting about this the other day, weren't they?
Yeah.
And obviously, his agency is base as well, isn't it? That own half of Spurs, or used to. Being a bit funny, but you know what I mean. But yeah, it's just a shame. But at the end of the day, everyone's right here. Like I can't still get over Darren Bent played for us. You see him on TalkSport now. He's got an Arsenal shirt on.
He hates us. Hates us.
I can't believe I can't believe that he was in the Tottenham Hotspur changing room putting on a shirt going, I'm going to give 110%. I just can't. I know he's professional. I'm not questioning Darren. I know you watch the show, Darren. Everyone watches this show, but 40,000 people watch it. You know what I mean?
100,000, mate.
100,000 now. Let's go. Let's get it out. 100,000. We've got 600 likes. What is going on, team? All you've got to do is just press the like button.
Yeah,
We've got 100,000 likes.
It looks like I've been talking for 9.5 hours. That's what's put the likes down.
Let's go. Stick it in.
Right,
anyway,
get this now Macca's personal goal. Get this to 1,000 likes. Go on, Jace.
I was just going to say on Eze as well, the strange thing is they play a massive game on Sunday, which is probably their most important away game of the season, really.
Don't even start.
Where they are. There's no Saka in the team. There's no Odegaard in the team, and he's still not on the pitch.
Yep.
Wow.
And it feels to me that they've spent 68 million on a backup corner kick taker, which is probably what they needed. They don't need to cover Odegaard. They need to cover Rice for when he can't take a corner, and that's their only tactic.
Well, no, they should have signed Kevin Danso, right? Because he's a new Rory Delap, isn't it? Long throw, innit? I'll tell you what. I mean, Arteta, look, maybe we'll have egg on our face, right, towards the end of the season. But at the end of the day, I keep hearing that, they signed Declan Rice for 100 million. I keep hearing that Eze's going to go there and do wonderful things. Gokares, I can't speak. Gokares. I see all these players.
Macca, I love you. Don't ever do that again on here.
I know, 258 million or whatever it is. What's he done? 1.2 billion now.
That's gonna get clipped up at some point, don't you? That's gonna get clipped up in it.
6 years, no trophy. They still didn't want a trophy. Still didn't want one.
Listen, we've got to go for our next break here. We've got an update on Manor Solomon.
No way, Rick. Hang on. Hold the front pages here, team. Let's go and talk to. Are you serious? What's happening?
Yeah, we've got Manor Solomon. Let's go for our next break of the show. Again, thank you so much. Right now, there's over 60,000 that are watching this live. Again, remarkable. We're going to have 120,000 that have been here all day since 9 a.m. There are people that are here from 9 a.m. that are still here now.
What have you not got jobs? What do you not do?
They're body blue. I can't read that one out.
The body blue.
Gonna say that's a great chance right now just to quickly plug NordVPN because NordVPN right now, for those that aren't aware, Hartman knows what's coming. Hartman knows what's coming with this. Obviously, with NordVPN, you're in a situation now where if you want to get certain type of content, you can't get that type of content, but you can get that type of content if you are outside the UK and you want to change your location settings. So if you are looking for that kind of content and you want that kind of content, please go to nordvpn.com/LWOS. I know I will not tell you on this show, the members of the show that have got access to NordVPN, but I will tell you I've definitely helped at least a couple of them out in this last few weeks. So I'll leave it there and then we'll swiftly move on because my wife's over there thinking, what the hell is going on and why are we advertising NordVPN at 20 to 10? Listen, we're going to have to... Let's talk about Manor Solomon. Let's bring you up to date where we are on Manor Solomon's future. Manor Solomon to Crystal Palace, I can tell you, is off. That is not going through. Manor Solomon to Crystal Palace is off as things stands. And we understand
those. We've pulled the rug from under them. Who would have thought it? We've done what they did to us with Eze. Unbelievable.
Well, just so everybody knows the situation on this now, Porto are considering a move for Solomon after this deal has fallen through. So I think, at the moment, this is what's being reported that I'm sorry, I'm trying to get over the NordVPN link, guys. Sorry about this. We understand that Solomon could be on his way to Porto. In the earlier part of the day, Palace thought off interest from Leeds United. Porto came in. They decided they were going to pursue that. Benfica at one point also came in for Manos Solomon. But yeah, as things stand, Manos Solomon now being pursued by Porto in these final hours. And it's believed, Alistair Gold is now saying that Spurs are believed to have agreed to Palace's terms for Solomon, only for them to Palace to pull out late on. I tell you what, Palace and Tottenham this window, the mess they've had with the Eze and now this Solomon deal. I don't think we should be doing business with them again anytime soon. I don't think we should be doing business anytime soon with Crystal Palace. And Manuel Solomon at the moment, still currently at Tottenham Hotspur, waiting to find out if he will be now a Porto player. You have to forgive me. We might have to try and find out actually on that point. I don't know whether with regards to Porto's window, it'll be obviously be the Portuguese window, how much time they've got to complete that deal. Look, I know you're laugh about this. We're still trying to find out if Brian Hill is still a Tottenham player. We've had no update on this, Macca, since half-9 this morning.
I've got breaking news on Brian Hill.
Have you?
Yeah, I've seen him. He's in London, so he's moved to Girona. He's potentially off. He's in a London Barbers. He's getting his haircut, mate. He's having a top. I'm telling you. That's what's happening.
And the Portuguese window closes at midnight, chaps.
Thank you so much, Dal. So the Portuguese.
Thanks for making it serious, Dal. You know what I mean? This is a serious show.
We've been here since 9:30. We can't come in at midnight with bloody Manos Solomon's bloody deal to go through. Jason, hit that like button, as Macca would say. Get us, run up the likes. Run up the likes on the like button.
Listen, when you started this stream, Jason had hair. That's how crazy it is.
Oh, I tell you.
We're done yet.
We will be done very, very soon.
You look like Manos Solomon when we first started this stream.
We're not done soon. The bloody January window will be open.
Yeah.
Oh, so actually, window opens.
If you stay on, we should be able to get Tell sold in January. As things are at the
I've got
moment.
tickets to Monaco soon. I've got to go on board a flight.
Let's come on to that point about season expectations. You know, I haven't asked you boys about this, where we are right now. Jason don't look so concerned. Jason always looks so
You've
concerned.
asked us about it 7 times. How many more times?
I've asked you.
Go on, Rick. Answer me. I'll answer. What's the question?
You know, you want to gag one of your cast members saying, "Will you just shut the fuck up for a second?" Can you imagine him? He'd be no good in performing down, would he? Just couldn't someone put a noose around his neck for 5 minutes? Let's go down.
I'm here. I'll catch you.
These expectations. Tell me right now, in your opinion, based on what we've done, what still could be done, what do you see Spurs doing this season? You said you like the look of what we've done, the calibre of players that we brought in.
Yeah.
Does this get any closer to the top 4, the top 6? Where do you see?
Well, to be fair, the top 4 is going to be a massive challenge. I don't think we're there. I feel that top 6 is very much up for grabs. And I think that's where we should be aiming for. We should be aiming to be in the mix in the top 6, fighting for a trophy as well. And I know we spoke about what the League Cup means to people and what the FA Cup means to people. And I think there's opportunities there. There really is. And I think with Frank being able to make the team play different ways, it's going to be a challenge. Can he get a team that isn't his strongest to look good on a Wednesday or on a Thursday when they're playing a cup game or a European game when he's trying to rest for a league game? It's going to be that balance. And I think that's where we're really going to learn about Frank, because he's never had to do that. He's never had to play 2 games in a week. And this squad has got to prove it's got the depth to do it. And I think there is depth. I think what impressed me that gives me the hope that we could go top 6 and could potentially fight for a trophy is the fact that you look at our first 2 games, take away the third, the lineups were very different and the team was very different and the ethos behind the play was very different. And he gave responsibility to people like Archie Gray, to Bert Vell, to go out there and to show what they can do and to play. And I think if a manager's going to be able to do that, and he is renowned for improving these young players, giving them a platform, they could surprise us. It could be that we look at the individuals on screen now, the Bert Vell, the Archie Grays, Papsar before he goes off to AFCON. They could lead a charge in a League Cup and have the Paulinho, the Bentancurs resting for our league games, for the big games in the league or the big Champions League games. So there is versatility, there is options, there is depth in this squad. Injuries always are going to be something that we're going to fight with and battle with, but we have something that could do something. Top 6 is within reach. I still think there's a cup win in there if this squad reaches its potential. And I'm never going to say we're going to win the Champions League because that's the toughest competition out there. And just competing in it, getting out of that little weird group situation they have now is going to be what we're aiming for. We've got some very favourable home matches that we should be winning. And give us a fighting chance. I'm going to go for a league trophy and top 6.
Okay. Macca, do you share that opinion as well? I mean, I said for me that I would take top 8 and a League Cup or an FA Cup. I think that would be a really good season in first Frank season. I think that would be a great start.
Yeah.
Jason looking at me like that.
I think Tottenham Hotspur Football Club.
The
I didn't share. No, this is me, right? This is me speaking the truth for me. I didn't see us. I didn't see it in issues finishing 17th. I did not see it in issues finishing 17th because we won the trophy. Now, if we didn't win the trophy, it would have been slightly different, but we did. So it doesn't matter because we won it. But the club obviously saw it differently, and a lot of fans did. That's totally fine. I'm not judging anyone else. I've said on this show, I've been doing this with you, 7-8 years. And I've said on this show many, many times, Tottenham Hotspur Football Club are not good enough and won't be good enough until we start mixing it with the elite, as Jason touched upon earlier, with not just transfer fees, but with wages. We will never be able to fight on all 4 fronts. It is impossible. So when you get to a club at Spurs' stature, this is not being not ambitious. This is about going after what you can go after. And Ange and the team and the squad went after the Europa League and we won it, and it paid off. Now, if he hadn't gone after that last year and he'd have carried on trying to sort the league out and finish 8th or 9th, we don't win that trophy. And we needed that trophy more than finishing top 6, top 8 in the league, right? I think most people, if not everyone, would agree with that. Now that's done, that's been put to bed. I don't see the ambition in finishing 8th. I don't see the difference finishing 8th, 9th, 10th, 6th, right? So for me, Spurs have to finish in the top 6. Yeah, top 6 is still Tottenham, right? I want 5th, top 5, to be fair, but I think top 6 is the right thing. And again, it is a narrative that I spin out, we spin out, everyone else spins out, whatever, is top 6 and a trophy. But that feels like Tottenham, and it is Tottenham because historically we've now won 18 major trophies. We are top 6 in terms of history for winning major trophies. When you look at our average position finishing in the league since 1992, when the Premier League started, we are 5th, right, in the top 6. So that is Tottenham. That is our level. That is where we're at. So I think for anything less than that is probably not. It doesn't make no difference. If you finish 8th, you may as well finish 10th, right? If you finish 8th, you may as well finish 9th, right? But finishing 6th gets you a European place and that type of thing. So for me, it's top 6 and a trophy, or at least a good run at a trophy. Like, I want to win. I think the Super Cups said it all, didn't it? Like, and this is football, right? It's not just Tottenham, it is football. We were very good for 80 minutes and we ran out of steam, and we maybe a lack of experience, maybe whatever it might be. But to get that turnover, I'm not calling that Spursy. Spursy's dead. Game over. Finito. We won the Europa League. Game over. You ain't calling us Spursy anymore. What I will say, though, is that finals are finals, and that's what they're there for. PSG have won more finals than us. They're Champions League winners.
I say to Jason, you look at the names, Lee, that are on that Super Cup, that Super Cup winners list. They're all serial winners.
And the managers, winners. Well. Let's be fair. I'm not having
the managers. Yeah,
I'm not having to go at the manager at all. But he's in his opposite dugout. He's looking at a bloke who's literally won everything that he can win. And Thomas, at the moment until now, because he's going to win stuff for Tottenham, I'm confident he hasn't won anything. So that is about experience, and that was told. Look, and at the end of the day, we were very close. So when Poch used to say a lot of the time about, and I'm not harping back to Poch, but I think he spoke sense when he spoke heavily about being competitive. Ange said it about being competitive. Jose, Conte being competitive. What they're talking about is, look, yes, they want to win, but they want to be competitive enough to be in the final, to be in a semi-final. And that's where I want to see us. So if we don't win a trophy this season, but we finish top 6 and we hit a final, 2 semi-finals, and then maybe get to the latter stages of the Champions League, that's not a bad first season,
agree.
right?
I
See where
agree.
I'm coming from? But
Yeah.
what I think is very important for Tottenham, for this board, even through the changes that are going on, clearly because of the Ange sacking as well, it is league position. They have to be up there, and I think top 5 would be perfect for them because that gets them Champions League again, doesn't it?
Yeah, I totally agree on that. I really, really do. Jace, do you share that as well, that opinion about, obviously, Ange was sacked on the league position. They made that clear in their statement. So what does Frank need to do in that league position for you?
That's clearly the ball's number one priority, isn't it? So, and you feel like he has to get 5th because that's the Champions League revenue. So, we sacked a man that finished 5th in his first season, got Champions League football and got a trophy. So, could Thomas Frank deliver better than 5th, a Champions League place and a trophy? Otherwise, why the switch, or what's the success of the switch? For me, my number one thing is I want to win a trophy this year. I've got used to winning a trophy. It's it's our 18th major trophy. It's not our first, it's our 18th, and I want number 19. So that to me is the number one thing. But the club, I think the club would take 5th over a trophy any day of the week.
Yeah. Yeah, I do get that. I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? Because now, like you've said there, Jason and Dow, this is the thing. Because we've had that big, that was an amazing week of our lives, right? I mean, Bilbao, Lee was out there in Bilbao as well. I mean, me, you and Jason were all at the stadium together. We was on the pitch together with our kids, right? I mean, that week was the memories that we all had that week. It was just amazing. And then on top of that as well, the parade where you saw so many Spurs fans all come together. These moments you can't forget. And like Jason says, that I've said this before, we can't wait another 17 years for that. Like, we just simply can't. Like, I don't want to wait. I'm the same as Jason. I don't even wait 2 years for that. I want it this year. I want it this season. The players are winners now. I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? It's been said so much in the past on here. We've had ex-managers on, ex-players on this show. How many of Jason we had on here? We had Steve Perman on here saying winning breeds winning. And when you've won one, you then can win again and again and again and again. I mean, me and you did it, Lee, with Jermaine Defoe even. Jermaine, when he was younger, Jermaine said the same thing. Winning breeds winning. I mean, Hartman, is this the best chance we're ever going to get in terms of that spring ball to actually see consistently now with success? Can we do that?
Of course it is, because now we've won, as Jace quite rightly said. We've just won something. So now the players in that squad are winners. There's a lot of that nucleus of that side are winners. They know how to win. They've experienced that and they want it again. And anybody in life, when you win, you want to keep winning. It's just the nature of life. That feeling, you can't describe it to anyone who hasn't felt winning. And when you have it, you instantly connect with that person and go, I know what this feels like. I want it more. We're thirsty for it. And I think that's why having such a young squad, there's so much potential to keep winning. And I think with Frank having his intelligence as a manager, and I prefer to reference him as the coach, because he's far more of a coach than a manager for me. With him coaching this team who are going, we want to win, we're thirsty to win, he may drive that narrative to go, look, I don't want to sacrifice the Carabao Cup. I don't want to sacrifice the FA Cup. Let's go for it, because that's what we do. We want to win. And we've got a fan base now that, as you said, we waited a long time for it. Now we've got it. We have the right to want it again, because we've experienced it. I went on the pitch. I don't know who said I was on the pitch. I went on the pitch. But we've had that experience together where we go, give it to me again. And we have opportunities this season to do it again. So why not? Why not dream? Why not have that? And I think if you're part of the hierarchy at Spurs, yes, I understand financially, 5th place is what you need for the books.
Yeah.
In the stadium, they also have got a head that we want to win trophies.
Of course.
That winning feeling is amazing. And that's what we want. Go on, Jace.
Just on that question there that Andrew Page has just answered, where he says, would you sacrifice the Champions League this year to finish 5th? That to me is bonkers. So you want to get knocked out of a competition you're trying to qualify for the following year. What's the point? Why do you want to get into it if you want to get knocked out of it as soon as you're in it to qualify for it the following year?
Jason, I agree with you. It's part of the problem of the structure, because the money is become so important about revenue. So you get in it to get the money, but you can't win it, but you just got to get back in it. So it's such a catch-22, because if that's how you value football and the structure, the fans, we never win. because we're never going to get a team that's going to win it, because as we know at
Yeah.
Spurs, it's hard to get the money back into the team. So we then just become part of a vicious cycle. We want to be elite. We want to be in it to win it. And now we've won the Europa, we want to go and win again. So if we keep breeding that, next season, we should be aiming to win the Champions League. If we're going on this climb that we should be doing, we should be ascending to that level.
Agree. Just because you brought up the word elite there, that's kind of led me nicely to Macca to go for our final break of the show. So I'm going to hand over to Macca, and after Macca gives you this lovely little talk he's going to give you, we have got a final Man of Solomon update, and then we are going to, like I say, look to, for all of our sakes, bid farewell to the summer transfer window once and for all. Jason can go to bed knowing this is going to be shut for 3 months, and he hasn't got to hear anything from Ghana's Soconet or Calcio Mercato or Tuta Mercato Web or... Let's go to Macca, because elite is quite a nice little segue into Macca's little talk he's going to give us here for a few minutes. Thank Macca, I'll hand over to you.
Yeah, nice one, mate. Thanks, Darren. I know you didn't kind of see that coming, but as a professional that you are, look, guys. I mean, you know me on this pod. Many of you know me over the last 7 years. Rick has built something incredibly brilliant here. Over 60,000 people. All of your interaction has been absolutely amazing. And I've been absolutely privileged to be part of this alongside him, alongside this amazing team with Jason as well, and all the other boys down and everyone else that's been on, and all the girls. It's been an absolute privilege. It's been absolutely insane. Week in, week out, the Love Show, the Love Sport radio shows, the YouTube stuff that we've done. And I love speaking and talking Tottenham with all of you, 100%. But most of you won't know that the reason why I've been away from this pod for the last few months is the truth. And the truth is that I've been working on myself after 26 years in a marriage with 3 wonderful children. I've gone for a separation, and that's being finalised now. And while business has still been absolutely fantastic and thriving behind closed doors, I knew I wasn't the man I wanted to be. I'm not going to lie. This is the truth. And I've built something massively special, and I want to share it. What's happening? So I made a decision to rebuild. I started getting up early. I started doing training sessions that most people wouldn't do. I've actually started hitting the gym massively 4, 5, 6 times a week. Major programs that I've put on. I've dropped 10 kilos. I've cut my body fat down to sub 12%, and I've hit a metabolic age of 35. Now I know most of you are looking, thinking, "What? You're older than 35?" Yes, I am indeed. I just turned 48, actually. And now I've got a metabolic age of 35. My energy's come back. My clarity's come back. My leadership has come back. And I've become sharper. I've been sharper in business, stronger in life, and better to the father of my 3 daughters. And here's the thing. It wasn't by accident. It was for a system. I created something called the Elite System. It's a 5 steps myself and Charlie have created, who is my brother in crime with this one. Built on blood, built sweat, tears, clarity, and years of knowing what it takes to be successful. Now, this isn't about being successful or showing my biceps off or so on and so forth. It's more about the physique. It is about body and mind and being clarity. And I was just fed up with being tired of like the way I looked, and I was all right. I lit up boardrooms, to be fair. I was good at what I was doing, but I wasn't being elite. We're taking that system and we're making a retreat. It's going to be in Marbella. It's for 16 elite people that want to come and join us. It's in November. It's called the Elite Retreat. It's 4 days in luxury villas, strength, conditioning, mindset, business hot seats, nutrition, breath work, the lot. We're going to make you have a system that changes the way you look and feel in your life. Now, this isn't a retreat. Essentially, it's not a yoga retreat. This is a reset. It's about stepping away from the noise and coming back with power. Now, some of you might be thinking, "Oh, what are you on about?" But I'm telling you, when you know, and I now know, and I want to give that back to 16 people that want to join me on the elite retreat. So if you've been listening to this thinking, "Man, my body slipped, my energy's faded, I can't run with my daughters, I can't run with my sons, my business is stalling, I've got a bit of business brain fog, I know I've got more in me," this is your time. This is your wake-up call. I've got 16 seats. I've already got 4 locked down. If you want more details, please DM me the word decide. Get in touch with me on Twitter. Get in touch with me on my Instagram, lee.mcqueen. And that's how you claim your shot. And I'll give you all of the details. Because here's the truth. When you raise your standards, everything else follows. Your body gets sharper, your business gets faster, your mind gets clearer. I've never had more clarity in my life than right now as I'm talking to you, and I'm absolutely loving it. And that's the work that we are doing at Elite Retreat. And if you're serious, I'll see you there, team.
Macca,
Thanks, Rick.
thank you so much. No, my pleasure, not a problem at all. Really appreciate it. Look, guys, we're at that point now, and we will just share you where we are with regards to Manor Solomon. It's been the story of the window. Manor Solomon has really captured the window in this last 3-4 hours, and kind of what comes next personally for him. That move to Leeds United is off, as we've discussed, and now Spurs are trying to find a way to get Manor Solomon move to a La Liga club before 11 p.m. So that is where we are with Manor Solomon. They are trying to get him a move at the moment between now and the deadline. But I think, again, this is what we might come into it, Jace. You know, like we said earlier, the fact they've got Turkish window, Saudi window open. I mean, the likes of Solomon, the likes of Basuma and Hill, you can't imagine they're going to stay here, can you? I mean, you said earlier for you think Basuma might stay, but these players aren't going to be a player in Thomas Frank's plans, Jace.
Can I just ask Macca, can't you do it next January and we lock Rick up for the January transfer window on a retreat?
Well, yeah, we do one November, and then we do them every 3 months. We do it. We coincide with the transfer window. That's a good idea, Jace.
I'm glad you paid for Sachs to be locked up for the entire January transfer window.
We get Rick on there. That'd be
perfect. Jason, come on, sis.
What was the question, Rick? Sorry, mate.
No, just say now. I mean, these 3 players that we got that we're still waiting to get rid of, can you integrate them back in easily? The club want them out.
Well, Solomon was on the bench Saturday, so presumably they will do.
Yeah, but the fact with Solomon, for example, when he knows the manager's advocated his sanction, his exit, and now he's back in, is that a problem?
Of course it is. But what else are you going to do with them if you've got no taker? You got no taker. Chelsea have still got Sterling and Chilwell and people like that, presumably, haven't they?
Yeah, well, we're just hearing right now.
There's the one thing, in amongst all the criticism that Isak's been given for how he's handled the move, and we all agree that. Just look sometimes at how clubs try and force players out. And this is a prime example. These players have got so when people are saying Isak signed a contract, he should honour it. Manor Solomon's probably saying, well, I've signed a contract. Tottenham honour it.
Yeah.
It does work both ways.
Yeah. We actually are hearing, as we say that Villarreal are now the team that are working on that deal for Solomon. So
we're playing them in the Champions League, aren't we?
I know. Isn't that
make his debut at Tottenham and score?
You've got a situation where you've got Tottenham have got Muani that could play against, obviously, his team in PSG. And there's also a situation now where Manor Solomon could end up turning out for, of course, as things stands, Villarreal we've got. And I think he'd be allowed to play, wouldn't he, on that basis? He'd be allowed to play against us. Yeah. There you go. Like I say, I mean, interesting turn of events if he does go through. I mean, we want him to get a move there, wouldn't we? We're not going to stop him going because we're playing him in the Champions League, or would we? Do you reckon, Jace?
You can't stop.
No, what I mean
is
we wouldn't stop him going there because we've got him in the Champions League. No.
I mean, if you want rid of the player and you want him off the wage books, you can't just block that because you're going to have to play one game against him. Otherwise, you'd also never sell a player to an English club, would you? When you sell a player to an English club, you're going to play him twice.
Yeah.
So, no, I can't. I think if they can get rid of him anywhere, they'll get rid of him anywhere.
Okay. Right. Guys, we are going to wrap up and give me your prediction of where Tottenham are going to finish in the Premier League this season. Jace, we'll start with you.
5th.
Interesting. 5th. Okay. Macca? What is Max on you?
Oh, man. Jason's thrown me a bit now. I'm going to go 6th.
Okay. Now don't do negatives.
No, yeah, exactly. Nor do I, to be fair. So, but I think 6th.
Yeah.
Now?
I think 6 with a trophy.
I think 6 as well. Okay, that's another thing. Trophy or no trophy? I've got a feeling the Carabao Cup get past Doncaster. It all depends on the draw for me. Jason, we say this every year about the draw. If we are able, we are going to have to, whether people like it or not, you are going to have to knock out one of the big boys, whether it's Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, City. Whether you class it as a big boy, I don't know. But you're going to have to knock one of these teams out to win it. And I think these are still. This is still remotely easier to win than the Champions League. So can they do that, Jace? For you, trophy or no trophy, can they do it?
Gut feel is no trophy.
Gut feel, okay.
Gut feel.
I agree.
We'll reevaluate that in January and see if we're still in cups. Macca?
I agree, Jace. Again, not. It's just a gut feeling. I don't think. I don't want to shot on the manager, right? Because I weren't massively keen on him. I'm not gonna speak my truth. I wasn't.
Yeah,
keen
it's fine.
I would have given Ange another season, and I think that momentum and winning another trophy and winning the squad and all that actually gets devalued when a new manager comes in. I think if the same manager had been here, it might have been different. Look, we might have been leaking goals all over. Hey, we might have lost to Bournemouth at the weekend, right, at home under Ange, mightn't we? Right. But anyway, right. I don't know. I just, my gut feeling the same as Jace. I think sixth, but it would be a decent run in the cups, but not a trophy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to listen to my gut. I'm going to listen to my heart. And my heart says we're going to win a trophy. Yeah. I'm going to go for it. And the reason why I'm going to go for it, chaps, is because I feel that with the mentality of the team that we have, being winners and having that in the back of their minds, and with Frank being able to organise a team to play, it's one game at a time. When you look at it as a cup run, it's one game at a time. And if they want it as much as we want it as fans, I feel we could surprise someone. And I'm not afraid to play a Liverpool Arsenal in a Carabao in an FA Cup. Let's take them on. Let's take them on. I'm gonna put my heart out there and say the Heartman backs us to win a trophy.
Okay, I'm also going to say on that point, I would love us to win a cup, but I'm not quite sure. I would love us to win a cup, but I'm not quite sure. Yeah, I think, honestly, a top 6 finish is probably what we've got. I do get the points, people are making about the fact that with the squad-wise, have we done enough? I think at the moment we don't know. I mean, people have been asking about that fact, have we done enough? We don't know until we've done enough. We don't know until we've had injuries set in. We had 2 decimations last season of injuries. We still want to win a cup. This season, again, maybe, who knows? But look, all I can say is...
Your heart's trying to talk, Ricky. Your heart's trying to come through.
My heart wants to say yes, but my head, I'm not sure. I think I need to see... Do you know, I tell you what it is for me. Do we have the figurehead at the club? Like Sonny. Sonny was so desperate to win that trophy, and we all saw his reaction at full time about winning it.
That said, though, Romero, he is a winner.
Romero,
yeah, exactly.
And he's a World Cup winner. He's a World Cup winner, and again, Copa America winner. Yeah.
Copa America.
All I would say is, though, I want to see. I don't mean it's a disrespectful way to him. I want to see more of that leadership on the field with Romero. He's the captain now, and obviously being at Bournemouth at the weekend, this is where for me I really want to see players that on the field take control as leaders and guide the team through moments of adversity, because we didn't concede in the last minute. We conceded very early on in the 4th minute. That's where you need your leaders to really come through and really push the rest of the team. But guys, it's all to be revealed. And as always, for the 8th season we're with you, I can't believe we're on our 8th season, Jace. When I think back now, it's...
Can I ask you one question?
Go on, mate.
What pair of flip-flops are you buying this year? Are you in the trophy flip-flops, or are you in the I don't want to lose 20 games? Because don't get halfway through the season and then flip-flop yet again.
Look, you tell me about flip-flopping. I can tell listen, bless you. And I don't in a disrespectful way. Obviously, Lee's been away working on himself. Jace, you had about 2 or 3 holidays, last season where it was too much for you. I'll tell you, listen, I don't in a disrespectful way. When you are here doing this show, every single week, every single game, and you've done 50, 60 games, and when you come and not only have you got to watch those games, but you go to the games or you don't go to the games, we put as much time into the show as what we do. I can tell you, it's hard enough to have to watch the games, and then when you're coming in for an hour and a half, have to go through those games of the goals we've conceded. It's been tough. So I will say, a lot of fans out there, I don't think it's called flip flop, and I think it's the one thing that we got to say, and I say to all fans out there. You are allowed to change your mind. I think this was the thing with last season where people were being judged on feeling a certain way at the early part of the season to what it was at the end of the season. And I would say it to everybody out there, that what you feel in August, you can suddenly feel a different way in January and February and March and April. And no one should have to make me feel they're being, and I don't, listen, mate, we've got on for the last 10 years. You know, this whole term of a flip-flop, you can change your mind about what you want. What I don't want to see again, I don't want to see 23 league defeats or 22 league defeats. I want to see my team high up the table. Well, I tell you, this team is good enough where it can get a top 6 finish and it can win a cup. It doesn't have to be one or the other. We don't have to have 22 league defeats to have an FA Cup or a League Cup. We don't have to have it. We can have both. And this squad is good enough, I think, to get both. So I will shut that down. I don't think it's flip-flopping. It's about having how you feel. And you're free to change your mind. I say, if you, Jace, feel free. If you want to come here this season, do the 60 games and not have holidays to Udine and Thai and whatever, you feel free to do so. But until you want to do 60 games, let me know.
I tell you what, there's a retreat, right? That's happening in November. It's called the League Retreat. You not want to come on it, fella. Get yourself down there, son. No, none of this anymore. Take the mobiles away. 4 days, absolute luxury and absolute work on yourself. Now, look, I do agree with you, mate. I do agree that we are good enough to do that. We have assembled a good enough squad to get top 6 and to have a good run at a trophy. So, yeah, let's do it.
Absolutely, guys.
What's that film, Rick, where that big shark's there and he says you need a bigger boat?
Oh, listen. I'm going to say not in a disrespectful way. I'm so excited to go. I'm excited to go again now. I think the thing is now the emphasis off the window, and me and you, Jason, said this so many times that when the window is open, it drives everyone crazy. Now the window is shut. The focus goes back on the football. The focus goes back on building a team here that is only going to go on and win something, and please God it will. Listen, I want to say a massive thank you to every single cast member, who are about 20, 25 that have come on this show from 9:30 a.m. until now. I want to say a massive thank you to every single journalist that has given us so much of their time during this transfer window. These guys here, Jason, Macca, Hartman, who've become regular parts of this show. And listen, the biggest thank you of all, of course, like Macca says as well, it's to the audience, you know, the listeners and the viewers, I mean this, make this show. And without them, it would not be possible. Your support has been unwavering. Whether I know people like the backwards and forwards of me and Jason, all these boys here. I mean, I've known Macca for nearly 8-9 years, Jason for nearly 10 years, Cracker's the same, Hartman I've got known now for 4 or 5 years. There's some real good bonded relationships here that have really brought us all together. And I think that was the one thing even with last season. I'd say it in the little WhatsApp group we had. Last season I think bonded so much in the group because of what, again, we went through. And even Bilbao all together. Me and Jason were there together. Hartman again was there. Macca was out in Bilbao. So look, guys, thank you so much for all the support. We are all going to go for a lay down, but it doesn't stop. We've got a big season ahead of us. Champions League, Premier League, FA Cup, League Cup. It's all going to come your way. We've got you covered every step of the way. And Manor Solomon might get his move. From Jason, from Macca, from the Heartman, we have been the last word on Spurs. We are going to see you very soon. Tottenham are done. The window is shut. Kolo Muani is a Tottenham Hotspur player. They got their deadline day signing. Question is it enough? We're going to find out in the next instalment from us all. Keep safe, keep well. Thank you so much for all your support. And as always, come on, you Spurs.